Some people think that our heart is our most vital organ. Actually, it's not. Our brain is. Our mind is a maze, a labyrinth of experiences from birth that creates the reality we live. God designed us to thrive on earth with joy through human interaction and relationships that shape and mold us. But what happens when those interactions break us and shatter the hope and the innocence we once held? How do we find our way home? How do we pick up the pieces? Can we ever be made new? There is hope for the brokenhearted because our Savior and Creator designed us to repair. We just need to be shown the way. Join us on a journey as we learn how to take Jesus to our past, restore what was lost, and bring healing to the fractured soul.
Hey guys, welcome back to Resistance Chicks. I'm one of your hosts, Michelle. It's Tuesday, which means it is healing for the fractured soul. I am trying to stream live to Gab live. And it looks like it's not working. I don't know what's going on. So I am so sorry over there at Gab. I'm going to have to tell them, hang on, give me 1 second. I'll have to figure this out later because the software isn't working. So anyway, Leah watched, and hey guys, Leah watched this interview, and I did too. She sent it to me with Buckley. Like, if Tucker Carlson had a brother, he would be called Buckley. I think that makes all the sense in the world. So Tucker Carlson's brother's name is Buckley, and apparently he was gigantic part of the, Trump campaign, and he was a 3-time Trump supporter and Trump voter, and he has, hence the title that Leah has here, become disenfranchised with the Trump administration and with Trump himself. And it's really disappointing because you want to be able to give your all to someone or something that you believe in so much. And just today, this is so interesting. Just today, the White House shared a meme that says, trust in Trump, or in Trump we trust in Trump. Anyway, well, this is what I told Leah. I said, my mama always said that we are not to trust people that say, trust me. Okay. Like, seriously, you don't trust people that say, trust me. Trust me. However, in light of the meme that went cray cray, and I'm sorry, I'm running solo here, so I'm doing a little bit of tech while I'm doing this by myself, trying to get the streams up. I tried to do something new tonight, and I hate when that doesn't work out. I've never done the Gab. I paid to be able to go live there, and it's just not working out. So, God knows. We'll figure it out at some point. If anybody has any insight in this, let me know. I'll just have to contact Gab. But now I lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. The Trump train of thought. Here's I guess the punchline for me for introducing tonight's episode. When Leah came to me and she said, this is what I'm going to do for healing for the fractured soul, I kind of went, huh? Like, but what do you do when you have put all of your faith? Oh, I'm going to get back to the trust me thing. When you put all of your faith into something and then that thing, that person, that whatever, I'm going to end this stream, betrays you, right? Like, how do you come back from that? And so it ties in like this, and we will bring it full circle, especially once Leah gets here and we really get into the nitty gritty of this. But like, you guys know about the whole SK situation, and that's, probably the most recent betrayal that I think that we've suffered, and I think a lot of you guys suffered that along with us, where you think that you know somebody and you are so excited that you finally found somebody that's real, that thinks the way that you do, that believes the way that you do, and that together you can accomplish amazing things for your country or for the kingdom of God or both. And that's how I felt. And then come to find out he was a psychopath with amazing, mind control, manipulative properties. Now, I'm not going to go so far as to say that Trump is a psychopath. He doesn't have to be. He's a brilliant narcissist, which a lot of people don't have a problem with that. And that's okay. You're allowed to not have a problem with that. But facts, right? I don't think, even if you support and love Trump, can anybody argue with that statement? He's a brilliant narcissist. Like, he's a brilliant man who is also a narcissist. Well, if you've been tuning in to Healing for the Fractured Soul for 62 sessions, and especially the important ones on narcissism, most of us, when we awaken to the fact that we are in a relationship with a narcissist, leave that relationship because that person is incapable while they're still broken, which I do not believe that narcissism is unhealable. A lot of people do. I do not. But until they're healed, they cannot care for you. They have created a world that they live in. It's an imaginary world, and you exist in their world outside of the reality of which you exist in. So when the Bible talks about when two get married and they become one, you literally become one with that person. But if you're married to a narcissist, you're never really one with that person, because you can never be together in reality because they're always living in a fantasy world. Always. So if you're like me, I have had to process my own disappointment in what I want to call, we're like the mega golden years. I don't think 2020, and it seems like yesterday, like I feel like one of those old people now, way back in 2020, in 2020, when did the whole world change back in 2020? It did. The whole world changed, and it's never been the same. But 2016 to early 2020, late 2019, I think that I speak for all Republicans, that vote, or I should say rather Trump supporters, because there were a ton of people that were not Republicans that voted for Trump. When I say we were not getting tired of winning, like, are you tired of winning yet? No, like everything felt like a win, even the attacks, even the Russia conspiracy, hoax. And, Trump's hands were tied to keep him from doing the things that we put him in office to do. Or you guys did, because I did not vote for him in 2016. I did in 2020. But I wanted him to win. I just wanted to make sure that I could stand before God and say, I voted for a man of character and integrity, and not for the lesser of two evils. A lot of people voted for the lesser of two evils in that election, and then they want to flaunt it. No, you all knew you were voting for the lesser of two evils at the time, and then you fell in love with Trump after you voted for him, because you're like, well, I can't vote for Hillary, and I get that. I couldn't either. I don't remember who I voted for in 2016. It was probably like Rand Paul or something that I wrote in or whatever. But I had to vote my conscience. But I did vote for him in 2020. So anyway, so this man that you put into office in 2016, I think were holding it at that time with an open hand. It was a surprise win. It was a surprise win. There's no doubt about it. I think a lot of you are like, well, I knew he was going to win. Okay, good for you. Most people didn't. And you'll find this out, I think, if Leah plays this part of the clip. Even his campaign manager didn't think that he was going to win. Okay, so what does that tell you? So in this amazing, incredible surprise win where we were all like, oh my gosh, like we did something, like something's happened. God's on the move. And for, from for the duration of literally the win in 2016, like November, December to January 21st. Even like not even, oh no, it was before that we all felt like we were losing. Like we all thought that Trump was going to do something to stop the stolen election, which I still to this day believe that there was a stolen election in 2020. Like there's no doubt in my mind. So then it begs the question, why did they not want him to win? The powers that be, why were they okay with him winning in 2016, but they were not okay with him winning his second term in 2020, but they were okay with him winning in 2024? You can say,
I don't think he was
what happened?
I don't think he was supposed to win in 2016. I think that Hillary was supposed to win. I think they had to fortify the election in 2020. Then they realized that Trump is too powerful. He's going to win in 2024.
So then we have to control him. So anyway, back to that being controlled part. I want to offer you guys that are still mega Trump supporters with a little olive branch. Are you ready that what I'm going to offer you here? It's a very small one, and I'm not really that convinced of it, but I'm going to give it to you as an option. Okay. I have known people and had very intimate experiences with how illness can transform the mind of someone. We do know that Trump did get the thing. Right? He got it.
Yeah.
I can almost peg his personality change to that moment.
Yeah.
Coincidence? Maybe. Or, did they put, and this is the thing that gets me, Leah. We're all a bunch of conspiracy theorists, right? And, we question every narrative and we look at all the angles. Like Tom Renz on Tim Pool. That's a whole nother story we'll talk about at some point. Friday, maybe. And we look at it all. And we don't trust the government. We don't trust anything that they try to peddle at us, okay? You can't put anything over on us. We will believe in a real alien invasion before we believe the government, right? That's where we're at. And we believe that they can do all things, like, the white hats and like all the different things. So you're here to tell me that it is an impossibility that they didn't put a little something extra in the juicy juice that he took that made him a little controllable, a little bit off kilter, a little bit whatever. Okay. And yet when he starts doing all of these things that are completely antithetical, like we're going to go over them all tonight, to everything that he gave us for 4 years, like the complete opposite, we're supposed to just like follow along and not go like, you're not right in the head, dude. Like what happened? So there are many possibilities. Like Tom Renz on Tim Pool, I'm throwing that out there as an explanation that no one is willing to entertain.
I think that what I love about this interview, and Michelle, we go ahead and bring it up, is they spend the 2/3 of it actually talking about why they supported Trump, the things about Trump that made him so attractive as a candidate, and how he created a once in a lifetime, once in a century coalition. But it wasn't just him. And I want to encourage you guys, it was the people. Something about the people had woken up. And I truly believe, did you read my...
I didn't. We should read it out loud. It was really good intro. You want me to read it, or are you going to read it?
I can read it. You believed in more than a man. You believed in a mission. You found your people and a purpose. You were persecuted, censored, ostracized by coworkers, family, and friends. But you were taking on the deep state. You were red-pilled, and you knew the left was deranged. Piece by piece, that dream of taking the country back began to fade. You kept the faith through impeachments, the Russia hoax, January 6th, COVID, the jab, and you found relief in the victory of 2024. But something was off. Where were the indictments? Why are there gold cards for millionaires? Was Epstein really just some sort of crazy hoax? The most pro-life president in history was now pro-abortion? What happened to our no new wars? Why are we obsessed with a ballroom? Why is it that Trump is friends with billionaires, the same ones who censored us? It was all real until it wasn't. We didn't change. The man we supported changed, and our convictions would not let us change with him. A coalition of the century gone up in smoke. Buckley and Tucker Carlson break down the rise and fall of MAGA. We got something wrong?
No, I'm trying to stream to Gab tonight and it wasn't working, so I thought I can work on it while it goes. It's fine.
Okay. So I want to bring up this interview. I want you guys to hear a little bit about Buckley. He is 2 years younger than Tucker. He's 55 and Tucker's 57. So it kind of gives you the era that they grew up in. Their dad was in the government. So they grew up, they moved, I guess, when they were teenagers to DC, and then they lived in DC for a long time. Did the interview up? I'm ready to go.
I'm ready to go.
Okay. And so Buckley describes here why he supported Trump early on. And I kind of felt like this was definitely like a stroll down memory lane that we all needed. We all needed to remember why we supported Trump, who he was, what he did for us, and who we were when we were supporting Trump. It's very interesting because I think at one point with Tucker and his brother, he's like, I didn't even know you were writing speeches for Trump. He was writing speeches for Trump very early on. But I want to start in the beginning with Tucker's monologue, and I want to get into Buckley here.
For at least 10 years now, hating Trump has been the surest possible indication of liberalism. If you really hate Donald Trump, probably filled with hate for the United States. You probably hate whites. Probably anxious to give kids the COVID vax and castrate boys and put non-binary people on the swim team or whatever. But there was pretty much for about a decade, a one-to-one correlation between disliking Donald Trump, hating Donald Trump, Trump derangement syndrome, and liberalism, or it's sort of a weird American manifestation. But now we're in a weird moment, an even stranger moment, where a lot of people who really like Trump are very disappointed in Trump. In fact, more than disappointed, feel betrayed or enraged, feel like suckers, feel like they've been taken for a ride. How could I possibly have supported that given what it became? A lot of people seem to feel that way. But do a lot of people seem to feel that way? Do they actually feel that way? Well, according to polls on CNN, 100% of MAGA voters still support Trump. Is that real? Well, it's really hard to know given how fraudulent so much polling is. So we thought we would speak to the one person we know who sincerely supported Trump from the very beginning, wrote speeches for Trump in 2015, voted for Trump 3 times, knew people within the Trump White House, worked with the Trump White House, and all along that period, 10 years, supported Trump in public, not on television, which is easy, but in his own neighborhood, which was 100% Trump haters. That person is my brother, it turns out, Buckley Carlson, Uncle Buck, as he's known to us. And so we thought we would sit down and ask him, are we imagining this? Did the guy you supported from 2015 in the face of social sanction like you wouldn't believe, did that guy just betray everything you believe and the reasons you supported him in the first place? Are we imagining this? Is it real? Here's the conversation we had with Uncle Buck. You were the first person I knew personally who supported Donald Trump. And I remember thinking later when I thought about it, I was like, you're a lifelong resident, 40-year resident of Washington, D.C., which voted for Trump in 2016 at 4.1%. So you were in the 4% of district residents who supported Trump. And you're a WASP, and that's the group that hated Trump most. How did you wind up supporting Trump in like 2015?
The departure, Trump represented a departure that I had never seen in Washington. He was, first I should say, I knew him my entire life, as anybody who grew up in the 80s did.
Right.
Because he was I didn't know him personally, I know you did, but I knew of him as everybody around us did because he was such a carnival barker of self-promotion,
yeah,
gold dip braggadocio, lying. I mean, he was a performer.
Yeah.
And he was the creator of his own story, which on one hand was disgusting because he was a man of obvious faults. I mean, he was gross and loud and brash and crude and a serial adulterer and all the things that you probably wouldn't want to be and certainly wouldn't want your children to be.
Well, that's why the Wasp didn't like him, because he bragged about himself.
Yes.
Which is like, rule one, you can't do that. That's why my children didn't like, it's like.
Very much so.
Yeah. So that was a massive hurdle. And I mean, they already had a candidate called Jeb Bush.
I was aware. I was compelled, actually, for the first time ever by some of my clients to actually contribute to Jeb Bush.
But he was the consensus choice of his people. I mean, he converted to Catholicism, but no one really took that seriously. He was a birthright Episcopalian. Like, everyone knew this is our guy.
It was his time.
Yes. It was his time.
He was the adult in the room. I remember early on, actually, he raised $100 million famously, obviously, and he was just the guy that was going to take us.
But did you even know anyone who didn't support him?
I didn't know a single person who didn't support him. No. But he had his domestic policy, his foreign policy, everything about him, nothing about him was exciting. All of it was poll tested, as everything in Washington had been up until the moment Trump came on the scene.
Right.
And Trump was very, if not articulate, he had baseline messages that were unassailable and that he repeated with great repetition. And the things that he espoused and talked about endlessly were things that I believed in and things that most Americans, when they actually took the time to separate Trump's policies from Trump the man, were super attractive. And it was such a departure from what we'd seen from every other elected official, especially, obviously, it was the end of the Obama years, which were such a disappointment, but also the destruction of weak, poll-tested, very well packaged candidates like who's that forgettable Utah Senator, Mitt Romney.
Huntsman. Oh, yeah.
Mitt
Romney.
And of course, so Trump talked about actually focusing on America, repairing the problems that this entire class of people had brought upon us, the American citizen.
But you were in that class of people, and you literally worked for the most famous polling company, and you were in politics, and you live in Northwest Washington, D.C., and basically Trump is calling for the destruction of your world.
I didn't see it that way because I think these people had already destroyed our world, and I'd seen it up close and personally, not only in the education system, but in the environment around me. We lived in a much dirtier country. We lived in a country that wouldn't even embrace any of the things that were great about America that I had grown up embracing, not just freedom, not just individuality, but cleanliness and Christian principles. And we had such a wonderful country when I was growing up, and it had been transformed. You could see it in Washington probably better than you could see it even in border states, the disconnect between what people had voted for, what people wanted, what they continually expressed that they wanted from their Republican leaders. And they were denied it every time. And Trump came in and said, look, there's an end to that. This is unacceptable. We've failed over the past 30 years. I've seen it up close and personal. Just aside from all of his obvious foibles and his disgusting elements of his personality, he was, it seemed, someone who had been steeped. He built things. And very few people built things by the time Trump came along. We were not a manufacturing society at that point. And even if I didn't like his gilded name on all sorts of properties, he had employed a ton of people. He had actually contributed to the economy. He had been saying a lot of these I wasn't really steeped in the financial world and didn't understand our trade policies. But when Trump explained how beneficial it was to the rest of the world rather than America, our trade policies, I actually paid attention and read up and realized that he was telling the truth. And then everything he said about the border, which you could see if you traveled around America, which I certainly did, the degradation of America was obscene. And the destruction of things that I had held dear my entire life, and I think most Americans did, Trump represented a return to normalcy. And then, of course, I was totally enamored of his personal strength and his ability to. There's no one who's been more attacked than Donald Trump, obviously, over the last decade, but nothing more aggressively than when he first came down that escalator and announced for president. Like, he was attacked by absolutely everybody in the world, not just the left, not just the media, but as you said, everybody on the right took him as a joke. It's like, actually, we're not electing individuals, we're electing the policies that they will defend and put forward when they're in office. And Trump articulated a very small set of priorities that I really found attractive, and did so with calm and repetitiveness that seemed legit and sincere, especially the more he was attacked, because he never bended. And I'd never seen that in American politics, ever.
And you've been around it a lot.
Been around a lot. And actually, jumping forward a decade, and Trump had expanded the coalition so aggressively. Back when he started, the ideas in the Republican Party about expanding the coalition were not harnessing the things that were great about America. It was actually surrendering to, Speak Spanish if you want to appeal to new voters. Don't talk about the cultural degradation of America because that will turn people off. Well, Trump flipped that on its head completely and said, actually, there's a lot about America we should and will be defending. And so that attracted me to him. I love that about him.
Everyone loves relaxing at home. Cozy Earth can maximize that experience. If you haven't tried their robes or their slippers, you may be missing out. Soft,
Common friend of ours, and ended up writing some early speeches for Trump and Stephen Miller. I was corresponding with Stephen Miller and writing some early speeches for Trump.
That's crazy. I didn't realize that at the time. I don't think I took Trump seriously at all until the summer of 15, probably, when our friend Patrick Feeney in Maine told me that he was thinking about voting for Trump or Bernie Sanders. They seem very similar to him. And I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. They're polar opposites. And my brain started to change. And I started to see the obvious, but you were already on it. That's so interesting. I mean, it's a lot to ask anybody to understand his own motives, but why do you think, to the extent you can analyze it, why do you think you, living in a political world with a political job, being from a group of people who hated Trump, living in a neighborhood that hated Trump, why were you uniquely able to see the things that your neighbors couldn't, like the degradation of America, and connect that to the policies that produced it? And why could nobody else?
Maybe it was because I had actually worked in Washington for so long. I hadn't been born in Washington, but I moved there as a teenager, and then had worked in politics, elected politics, and then corporate America, but very much adjacent to political world, and worked with pollsters and people who message tested. And I had worked closely with the Republican coalition when they got back in power in 94. And I saw to the extent that people were phony. There was a huge disconnect between their personal lives and how they voted and how they campaigned.
And gay.
And gay.
Super
Yes.
gay.
And very much in our party, which I was surprised by, because the left was always crazy and they were always sort of attracted, these people who, at least they were open about it, the Bernie Franks of the world, at least
No, totally.
their weird lifestyles. But the Republican Party was completely empty. And I had also lived through...
Empty, what do you mean?
They had no principles that they were willing to stand up for. And I had seen, probably the starkest example was John McCain, who I had grown up really respecting. It was at a time in America when people actually celebrated war heroes. I thought he was a war hero at that time. I subsequently learned differently. But it was when he attacked the tobacco industry early on, when I was first working for corporate America, a big PR firm. And he had led the charge against big tobacco and had been a grandstander and a phony. And I had known him personally and really liked him as a person.
I did too. I really liked him as a guy. Yeah,
really did.
He was hilarious.
He was hilarious. And physically tough, I thought.
He was physically tough, and he was also, sorry to say it out loud, he was a wild.
So I'm going to pause here because this is kind of an interesting side note for them, talking about John McCain, and that was kind of the world that they grew up in. But the point being is that they were hardcore Republicans kind of their whole life. And when Trump came along, it was like, hey, we know that it's the left and the right are like one big team, and he's coming in to smash that team. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward a little bit
There you go. Wait, up higher.
up higher.
There you
Hang on. Here we go.
8-5-56-96 800.
Some sort of cowardice on their part or regret, but they were so vicious against open discourse. They couldn't defend their candidate, or in that case, their president at that point, but they also couldn't discuss it. And they hated you for it. They hated you for pointing out. If you just said simply, as I did to several Democrats, I'm not attacking Obama. Just tell me why you support this man as our president. Tell me what he's doing to strengthen our country. And they would look blank or angry. And that was pervasive, I think, on the left.
So then Trump starts making noises about running in 2015, and it's not even on the radar of most people in DC that I remember. It's like Trump. I mean, I talked to Trump, and he called me in 2015 and said, I'm going to run. And I said, I don't believe you. I think you're selling another book. I'd seen him do this before, 15 years previous. You know, the campaign was a book tour.
Yes.
And he said to me, I think I'm going to surprise you this time. But I still didn't take him seriously, really. But you did. And you reached out to people.
If you guys didn't know, Trump actually ran before for president, but he wasn't real. So a lot of people were like, okay, you're just trying to sell another book. And Trump, he actually talks to Tucker and he's like, I'm actually going to surprise you this time.
But what did you think of the people around Trump then?
There weren't many. I was very impressed actually by Stephen Miller's intellect and his writing ability. And his commitment to immigration reform or closing the border. I thought he was a true believer on that.
I did too.
I think he he certainly was at the time. He was a great writer and easy to talk to, and I thought committed. I don't know what his motivations were, but he seemed like he actually was on board for the long haul for this. And I will say my entire life I'd only been voting, barely missed the 88 election, but I've been voting since 92. And in every 4 years, they would say, this is the existential election. Like, this is the election that really is going to determine the path we're on. And by the time 16 came around, it really seemed, with the hangover and the depressing anti-American, anti-white, the Obama program was so dispiriting to witness, and the wreckage I felt socially, that this was the existential election in 16. I felt that strongly. So Trump was the only one. Everybody else, I mean, Jeb Bush's program, I couldn't even tell you what it was. It was forgettable at the time, but it was the same talking points they'd been using for 2 decades, referencing Ronald Reagan, who I was personally impressed by, but it's not really relevant and during the Iraq wars and the Afghan war and all of that stuff. So, and the degradation that America had experienced that was so overwhelming at that time. It seemed like an existential election, and Trump seemed fully committed. And by the time it came around to the debates in the end, when he finally got the nomination, this is a man who had withstood every single personal degradation you could possibly imagine and every attack from every quarter of the country. I was fully committed to his program and thought he was real.
What kind of speeches did you write for Trump?
Mostly about immigration stuff, rally speeches early on.
Yeah.
Or during the middle of the campaign. Probably not. I'm trying to think when. It was late 15.
That's amazing. I didn't even know you were doing that.
I had a lot of freedom. That was the other thing. The stuff that I delivered, had a lot of freedom to, had a lot of license. I felt like I was writing from my own perspective, and that's how aligned I was with what Trump had articulated. It was like some of the easiest speeches to write because they were honest and straightforward and pugnacious and unapologetic.
So
right?
Honest, straightforward, pugnacious, that came naturally to you?
And you don't see a lot of that. I mean, normally when you're writing for a candidate, you've got the lawyer, like, or the campaign manager, or some dipshit consultant breathing over your shoulder.
Right.
Like, you can't say that. You need to soften that. You need to, oh, really? So you end up with something that's not even distinguishable from the other side. Trump was not just distinguishable from the left. He was distinguished himself from the rest of the 19, subpar candidates who were running. But they were all representative of that time.
And I think that was something that really endeared everyone to him. It was like, wait a minute, now you're saying a lot of this stuff that we want to say, but you're saying it in a way that like makes sense. And like, you're saying it in a way that like nobody else says it. And it's not politician-y. And it's not like, oh, I'm going to, lower drug prices. If he was going to lower drug prices, he was going to say it in Trump-ese. And it made sense to the common person. And we're like, finally, somebody is saying what we feel like needs to be, saying what needs to be done in a way that we feel like we could actually, it reverberated like in our bones.
Yeah.
And so I didn't spend time around Trump. I loved his sense of humor, but I loved his consistency, and I loved the fact that he never backed down, especially with these people barking in his face and claiming he was the worst man on the planet.
Yeah, racist.
It's like someone, I think it may have been you, who said, we're not hiring the guy to, babysit our children. And that was just intuitive to me. It's like, but he was an outsider too. And also he seemed like he had a pretty cohesive family at the time. I mean, that attracted me also. It seemed like he had a decent relationship with his children.
Yeah, his son-in-law was running everything.
Right.
That seemed like a good thing.
Yes, very much so. And a huge departure from what you'd seen, because I'd seen tons of candidates up close whose children were, drunks or drug addicts or suicidal or hated their families, hated their parents, and were losers. And they seemed the opposite of that. They seemed like they also believed in a heritage America. They believed in building stuff, creating jobs, creating prosperity. And even though he was supposedly a billionaire, he was a guy who understood the working man. He understood how the country worked. Sorry to go on so long, but I was going to say, when I did early research, I didn't know a lot about our trade policies at the time. I just didn't know the details. And he talked a lot about it, probably second only to immigration. And when I started doing research on it, I was shocked. The amount of stuff that we had given away, just gratuitously surrendered to the rest of the world in our trade policies, and how that had an effect on our manufacturing. I'd always blamed the Clintons for, the free trade and our agreements with Mexico and Canada, cleaning out manufacturing. I was aware of that. I'd seen it happen. But I didn't realize how deep the betrayal was until I started doing research on Trump's individual policies.
And that was like something that was almost left field. Like, Trump was talking about tariffs from the very beginning, and he was talking about how, we're being betrayed on NATO, and everybody's not paying their fair share, and we're going to make America great again. Like, the Clinton policies of these trade policies, which we saw the jobs flee. We saw and let's not say jobs, because I know they use jobs, but we just saw companies and businesses, American businesses turn, and really especially in the 80s and the 90s, people were getting laid off. That was when like you first started to see like, Indian call centers and everything that was like Americana began to crumble. And Trump was like, I want to fix that. And no one had even said it, like it was an issue, but no politician had ever mentioned it before. And we were just like, wow, like you're bringing us a problem that we didn't even know was there, or we knew it was there, but we didn't know it was an option to fix.
Yeah.
I just hadn't been focused on it.
Spring is the most refreshing time of year.
The blind candidate thing where they describe the candidate without the name, without the history, is just literally a policy prescription, what this person stands for. And if you did that with Trump at any time during his campaigns and you just separated the man from the policy, his policy is more closely aligned with my worldview and my sense of what it means to be America and American, and to be a self-confident man who loves your country. Like I'm sorry to jump ahead, but I have never, even knowing how Washington works, even seeing the vitriol that he encountered and the overwhelming opposition from not just political Washington, but the media and the corporate world and everybody else who takes themselves seriously. It was during Trump's inauguration speech the first time. And if you read that speech, as I did, it's like, this is unimpeachable. This is not controversial. These things that he is saying is such a breath of fresh air that no man in American politics has ever had the balls to say. Why is that? Like, how is it that we are in a country now where it's embarrassing to say that the reason you have elected officials is so they can take care of America and Americans? To this day, I didn't understand it then. I don't understand it now. Maybe I'm simple-minded, but
I think you do understand it.
I do understand it. Yeah.
Right. I think you know what's going on.
I oppose it.
Right.
I'm very angry about it.
Right. But this is one of those topics you're like, I don't understand what's happening here.
It is unimpeachable to say that we're
Of
here
course
to
it
protect
is.
America
Of course
and
it is.
Americans.
So I just want to I just want to remember that speech a little bit. I'm just read some of it because it kind of is nostalgic. But tonight I wanted to actually bring healing to all of us and kind of help us to walk through some of these things. We supported Trump for a reason. And these were the reasons. And I love that Buckley and Tucker are taking this time to really present Trump the way that he was and why we supported him. Why did I wear a Trump hat into the grocery store and knowing that I could be egged, beaten
Punched
up,
in the face, yeah.
or punched in the face, or like never in history. If you wore a Mitt Romney or an Obama hat, it was just a thing. But if you put on a Trump hat, you were a target. You were a target for vitriol. You were a target for, and I live in a Republican place. And I remember a little old lady coming up to me, a little old white lady coming up to me saying, thank you for being bold enough to wear that hat. It meant something.
I had an elderly gentleman do the exact same thing to me when I wore it into the post office. And I am not going to lie that when I did wear specifically the mega hats, the red ones, when I did wear those, I was slightly afraid. I mean that genuinely. Like I was afraid of what might happen.
I knew when I put that Trump hat on, I had, you guys sent like as a couple and like it's a really fly looking hat. But I didn't wear it often because I knew that wherever I was going,
asking for
I was making a statement. It was like, you can't like, if you're going into public, you can't think about anything else because you know that statement is a target, right? Not necessarily a target for violence per se, but yeah, like if I were to go downtown or something, right? Like you knew that you were making a statement, downtown. Right? And this was all really, guys, that whole thing like didn't even change. Like now you can, and that's something is weird.
Well, I don't even think you can wear one downtown now. You can barely go downtown and wear a regular outfit without getting beat up.
I think you, like, honestly, so many black people went Trump.
You didn't see it. Okay, I've seen people get, like, beat the living tar out of them.
Well, now because the prices didn't go back down. So he said, this is his speech. I'm going to read a little above it. Together, we will determine the course of America and the world for years to come. We will face challenges. We will confront hardships, but we will get the job done. Every 4 years, we gather on these steps to carry out the orderly and peaceful transfer of power. And we're grateful to blah, 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 blah. Today's ceremony has very special meaning because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another or from one party to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C. and giving it back to you, the American people. The goosebumps, the awe, the excitement, like, yay, he says, for too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government while the people have borne the cost. Washington flourished, but the people did not share in its wealth. Politicians prospered, but the jobs left and factories closed. The establishment protected itself, but not the citizens of our country. Their victories have not been your victories. Their triumphs have not been your triumphs. And while they celebrated in our nation's capital, there was little to celebrate for struggling families across the land. The problem is that you were in there for 4 years. And I would say this, under Trump's first term, the economy actually got better as far as the economy goes. Trump, the businessman, people were like, even Black people were like, my business is doing better. I was doing fine. Like, as much as we were fighting for Trump and all that stuff, like in our personal lives, in our personal business, everything was just flowing. Everything was going well. It was good. And then COVID hit, right? In 2020. And all of that changed. We're going to get into that in the interview later. All that change is starting here right now because this moment is your moment. It belongs to you. Contrast that to his 2024 speech. Everything about Trump, and it could even be the persecution got to him. Because at that point, he couldn't think about you or me anymore. And I remember watching Trump with people. There was something about him where he truly did care about people. It was just in a moment in his life, like he wasn't the old Trump that was a womanizer. He was kind of older and more mature, and something like a mantle came on him almost.
Well, and I think it's the anointing, number one, but number two, for me, what I would like to see is the honesty from Mega that still supports Trump, that he is a different man now. Go ahead and say, like, we still have to support him. Go ahead and say, I think we need to stick with him. He needs our prayers. But like to not acknowledge what you just pointed out of that man that we saw, and you can explain it away. Like, I welcome that. Explain to me, all of your reasons for why you think he has changed, but don't tell me that he hasn't.
Okay, so this is like really interesting going back in time like this. This is your day. This is your celebration. And the United States of America is your country. Now, all of his memes, all of his conversations, ever since like they started to really do the Russia thing, it's all about him. It's all about me. And like he's constantly posting these like Trump save America. Even the White House tweeted out today, put your trust in Trump.
Well, it just said trust in Trump.
Okay, forgot the word. Okay, forget the word put. Trust in Trump. But it means put your trust in Trump. And so in that, like that's not like it switched from I'm here to serve you. I'm here to do this for you. What truly matters is not which party controls our government, but whether our government is controlled by the people. When I am saying, and you were saying, hey, no to the shots, and he pushed back on that so much when, he said no new wars, and then he decided to go to war with Iran for Israel because Miriam Adelson gave him $250 million or more. The forgotten men and women in our country will be forgotten no longer. Everyone is listening to you now. But we're literally shouting that prices are too high and we're suffering. And you know what his administration is saying? Suck it up. We have to do this. You came by tens of millions to become part of a historic movement that likes of which the world has never seen before. At the center of this movement is a crucial conviction that a nation exists to serve its citizens, not Israel, not Trump gold cards, not 600,000 Chinese college students. How does that benefit us as Americans?
So perhaps, and you can keep giving your commentary.
I do.
But I would just read the speech.
Americans want great schools for their children, safe neighborhoods for their families, and good jobs for themselves. These are just and reasonable demands of a righteous people. Public. But for too many of our citizens, a different reality exists. Mothers and children's trapped in poverty in our inner cities. Has that changed? Rusted out factories scattered like tombstones across the landscape of our nation. Has that changed? Sorry. An education system flush with cash, but which leaves our young and beautiful students deprived of knowledge. What happened? And the crime and gangs and drugs that have stolen too many lives and robbed our country so much unrealized potential. This American carnage stops right here and now. I believed it. We are one nation, and their pain is our pain. Their dreams are our dreams, and their success will be our success. We share one heart, one home, one glorious destiny. For many decades, we've enriched foreign industry at the expense of the American industry, subsidized the armies of other countries while allowing for a very sad depletion of our military. We've defended other nations' borders by refusing to defend our own. We spent trillions overseas. Ukraine, anybody? While Americans' infrastructure has fallen into disrepair and decay. Did we have the infrastructure rebuilt? We've made other countries rich with wealth. One by one, factories shuttered and left our shores, with not even a thought about the millions upon millions of American workers left behind.
From this moment on, it's going to be America first. Every decision on trade, on taxes, on immigration, on foreign affairs will be made to benefit American workers and American factories.
I will fight for you with every breath of my body, and I will never, ever let you down. America will start winning again and winning like never before. We'll bring back our jobs. We'll bring back our borders. We'll bring back our wealth. We'll bring back our dreams. We'll build new roads and highways and bridges and airports and tunnels and railways across our wonderful nation. I don't think that happened. We will get our people off of welfare and back to work. We will follow two simple rules: buy American, hire American.
At the bedrock of our politics will be a total allegiance to the United States of America, and through our loyalty to our country, we will rediscover our loyalty to each other.
The Bible tells us how good and pleasant it is when God's people live together in unity. We must speak our minds openly, debate our disagreements honestly, but always pursue solidarity.
We will be protected by the great men and women of our military and law enforcement. Most importantly, we are protected by God.
The time for empty talk is over. Now arrives our hour of action. It's time to remember that old wisdom our soldiers will never forget, that whether we are black or brown or white, we all bleed the same blood of patriots.
You will never be ignored again. Your voice, your hopes, and your dreams will define our American destiny, and your courage and goodness and love will forever guide us along the way.
We will make America strong again, wealthy again. We'll make America proud again. We'll make America safe again. And yes, together we will make America great again.
Now, of course, Lee and I were skimming that. We alternated so that we could both read ahead and find the ones that were the most important for tonight's discussion. But you can go and listen to the whole speech, and I think that you will find that that's a completely different Trump.
Yeah.
It just is. And so for me, like, I have lived this. I have lived where there is someone that it's like, it's the invasion of the body snatchers, where you're not the same person. You're not. And I will even add, I've been there. I have been there in times where I was not myself. I think that it was demonic oppression, and I would easily put that. What's wrong with that?
Well, no,
myself.
No, that's interesting because I don't know why I didn't think about this. Our father Rippinger was on with Tucker Carlson, and he said something, and then Buckley in this interview with Tucker say that demons hone in on people with power. And so I believe that the attack on Trump was a demonic attack.
Yeah.
But because he didn't have the power of God in himself, we prayed for him and we got those attacks off of him. Unfortunately, those demons seated in a different level because his soul is not given to Jesus. And I'm going to tell you guys something. Your prayers for Trump, it really, really, really worked.
So I guess for me, it's not like I'm coming at this from the standpoint of we never should have trusted him.
Or we should have never voted for him.
Or we should have never voted for him. I don't even believe that. I'm not saying, I do think we never should have trusted him in the sense that you shouldn't trust anybody. You should only trust in God. But what I mean is the Bible says you will know them by their fruit. And at the time, from 2016 to the end of 2019, Trump consistently showed, by and large, good fruit. And so when everybody's, kind of coming at us and like, well, what's changed? Why have you stopped your support for Trump? And I'm like, because he stopped bearing good fruit. And I think that he is demonically oppressed and probably possessed. And it should not come as a surprise that demons would go after a man like that. And for us to think that Trump is immune, none of us are.
Yeah.
Not even the most righteous. So like I said in the video that I did yesterday, Jesus looked at Peter and said, "Get thee behind me, Satan." So if Peter, who's the rock that we've built the church on, standing right next to Jesus, could be influenced by demons, and you all think that Trump can't, that's a whole nother level of delusion that I hope you don't have.
So, yeah, it was at that point that I really started to loathe the people who were against Donald Trump's program. Yes, you could laugh at him. Yes, you could take issue with some of the moronic things that he says or the inconsistent things he would say. But he was very consistent about sticking up for America and Americans, first and foremost and always.
You put a Trump bumper sticker on your truck. I'll never forget.
I did, and I'm not a bumper sticker guy at all. And I did it a little bit as an act of rebellion because I was aware. I mean, I lived in a neighborhood that, had a lot of rainbow flags, a lot of anti-war signs, which I'm totally anti-war, but the idea that you're displaying your political views on your car or your lawn, I just find kind of reprehensible.
Well, when you live in a city that voted, 4.1% for Trump,
yes,
it kind of gives you license to, because everybody agrees with you. It's a one-party state. I mean,
reflexive and easy to be one of those.
I don't think Albania under Enver Hoxha had margins like that. I mean, that is just that's truly just one-party state. So, it doesn't make people's behavior better at all. But you decide when you know that 96% of the people in your city disagree with you to let them know what you think.
That's what it means to be an American man.
I totally agree. Amen. Nicely put. So what kind of response did you get to your, the bumper sticker said, as I recall, because I was in love with it and amazed by it and too cowardly to put it on my own car. It said, pro-God, pro-life, pro-gun, pro-Trump?
No, but it was during the Trump era. So it wasn't explicitly pro-Trump, but it certainly captured. And it had a picture. It was pro-God, pro-gun, pro-life, anti-Obama, and it had the sunset thing. And people reacted exactly as you would expect. Very few people would accost me in traffic, beep their horn, flick me off, yell at me. My car would get defaced often. I also had a small American flag in the back of my car that I had to keep replacing because people would steal it. But most people would just avert their eyes in disgust. And I don't know. Those are the kind of people that I just couldn't care less about their opinion.
Even though they're 96% of the population of the city you live in?
Yes. I had a lot of friends in D.C. I love D.C.
Oh, I
love
totally
living there.
agree.
I couldn't imagine living there now. But no, I also lived on I lived in a cul-de-sac with a lot of like-minded people just sort of by accident. And also the kind of people that would be averse to those messages, which again, I think are foundational to life and certainly life in this country, don't have the courage to attack you for it because they're spineless weenies anyway.
Yeah, whose wives hate them. I totally agree with that. We saw a lot of that. That's exactly right. Yeah, those are the guys whose wives hit on you, for sure.
Yeah.
Sorry to say that out loud, but it's literally true. Is it not true?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is.
That's the route to adultery. Is a wife who's unimpressed and doesn't honor her husband, doesn't respect him because he doesn't have a spine.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Weak men make unhappy women. Why is there a rise in female cheating? Because there's a rise in weak men. That's just a fact. About Trump is a racist.
So then
I know who came up with that.
Like, Trump has slept with black women, so like he can't be racist, and that was like one of the things that Trump is not a racist. And the fact that they kept calling him a racist was just absolutely utterly ridiculous to me, which is why I kept like defending him, because like the one thing Trump is like he's not a racist. He has a lot of things.
I was talking about when he said, when you're famous, they will allow you to do that. And I noticed that everybody cut that part of the quote out, even though I thought it was the most interesting part of the quote.
Grab him by the blanket.
He said that to a childhood friend of ours, who was interviewing him and who was destroyed just for being there, which was kind of crazy.
Really destroyed by his own employers, and there was the NBC and Washington Post colluding together to their detriment, but also to the detriment of their employee. It was the most
they destroyed their employee.
Demonstration of disloyalty, subservient to political gain.
Someone we'd grown up with and knew really well, and it was just the whole thing was sad. But you're absolutely right. At the core was Trump's vulgar, but unfortunately true claim that rich and famous men have a totally different standard of behavior that is allowed by women.
Yeah.
And, men should not act that way. Women shouldn't put up with it.
Yeah.
And that's a fact. And anyone who's been in rich and famous world, as I have been a lot of my life, knows that that's true.
Yes.
And it's a problem that has at least two authors, men and women.
Yeah.
Is it fair?
Yes. Oh, completely. And also it demonstrated how committed he was, because he should have been, if there was ever a time you should be overwhelmed by shame, it was that, saying that in public. I mean, it was pretty gross and embarrassing and shocking. But the fact that he actually debated Hillary the next day and did a great job allowed me to believe that this was not about his personal ambition. This was a guy who actually cared about America. He's willing to subject himself to that kind of attack and not like fold up and crawl off in shame.
I think that we all, like, if you were kind of supporting Trump and then that thing came out and, he said he was so amazing, these women throw themselves at you, and we've all kind of defended it, so we all kind of know what that is, and it wasn't saying that he did it. It said that they're just so crazy that they do this. And then he went on the next day and was like, to Hillary Clinton, you'd be in prison. And watching him take on Hillary Clinton was one of the hallmarks of the whole Trump everything. It was like, oh my, that was when he won me over. I was like, dude, go,
Do you think Jeb could have withstood the pressure?
Apologize to my wife, I think is what I think that was like his refrain. Wake up at 2:00 in the morning every night sweating and apologize to my wife. I think
driving force there, really. And he was an outer boroughs guy, never felt accepted by them, always wanted to be, always bragging, I went to Penn, like, okay, Penn, and like that, got it. I'm not even decrying it. I'm just saying the fact that no one will acknowledge that that happened and that it had massive effects on everything. You're wearing this shirt. So I'm establishing all of this just
so he gets a shirt from a friend of his that says, re-elect the blankety blank.
People understand that you are not a fair weather Trump voter. Is that fair?
Yeah.
That's fair.
Could I actually give thanks to Doug Davenport for that shirt?
What a good man.
What a great man.
Yeah, Doug Davenport's a Washington figure who is like in the tiny group
Yes.
that you belong to of people who really were on the Trump program.
Yes.
Supportive. What was the experience of wearing that shirt like?
At that time, actually, you could get, shot. It seemed like wearing that. I'm not a big hat guy, but I did occasionally wear my MAGA hat that I got signed from Trump and his, not very well attended victory party in 2016.
Did you go to that?
I did. I was there till 4:30 in the morning. I
Man,
walked
you were
out.
like an OG Trump man. You're my only brother. I mean, I knew that I saw you that night, I think,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, I had dinner with you.
Okay.
Yes. No, I had dinner with you. You were in
Sorry.
Fox. I remember.
Right.
had
I was in
dinner with
Fox. Right. I was like, what was I doing that night? I was sitting on a set with like grumpy Brit Hume and with that guy from 60 Minutes, his son, Wallace. And they were like, ooh, I can't believe this couldn't happen. And I was like psyched and everyone hated me for being psyched. But we had dinner. I totally forgot that because you were going to the Trump victory party. What was that like?
Really, really. Actually, it was one of the greatest things ever. We showed up. We went out to an additional dinner. I was with my wife. Went out to an additional dinner, had a great dinner. Two dinners. Went to this wonderful French restaurant that no longer exists in New York. Showed up at this very sparsely attended victory party. And the best thing about it is it had a wall of televisions from floor to ceiling behind the stage. And it was an up-close picture of all of the assembled people in the Javits Center, which is where all the Democrats and the Victory Hillary Party was taking place. No one seemed to think Trump was going to win until, of course, he flipped Florida. And then it was a raucous party. It was actually
Who was there? Do you remember who you ran into?
Oh, I almost got knocked over by I'm trying to remember her name now. She was the female governor of Arizona, just plowed, just super hammered. Do you remember her? I can't remember her name.
I do remember her. She was a smoker.
She was a smoker. She was a massive drinker. She was jubilant. People were jubilant.
But like to go to the Trump party in 2016, no one even bothered to go.
Yes.
I ran into Kellyanne Conway Fitzpatrick or whatever she was at that point, Conway, I guess, that morning at like 5 a.m. on the set at Fox. She's the campaign manager.
Oh, I remember.
And I said, we're in the hallway. I'll never forget it, right off the set. And I said, what do you think the numbers are tonight? And she always asked the campaign manager that, like election day. And she goes, I'd say 45, 43, something like that. There's a campaign manager telling me. I've talked to a lot of campaign managers on election day, like since 1992 or whatever. I've never met one who didn't predict victory on election day.
Ever.
Doesn't matter.
Plus, it's bad juju. I mean, your job is to demonstrate the utmost.
I felt like this was like really important to understand that Trump did not think he was going to win. And that is a big thing for Trump because he was like always the winner, right? His kids didn't think he was going to win. They probably went to bed. Okay. Kellyanne Conway did not think that they had the numbers. She said 45%, maybe 43, 45. They all told each other, like, you kind of hope that you might pull out the numbers. Okay. They didn't even have hope that there was nobody at their victory party. Nobody showed up for the victory party because they knew it was going to be a losing party.
Well, and I think that, what we forget because we got so hung up on 2020
Right.
was the mantra of Hillary Clinton saying
Yeah.
that the election was stolen because
Right.
she thought for sure that she was going to win.
The numbers
I
were
think
all in her favor.
everybody did.
Yeah.
Optimism, even in the face of.
So if your
certainty.
campaign, and by the way, Trump thought he was going to lose, and I think he said that. He certainly said it to me.
Absolutely.
But I know that
He did.
I know that he believed he was
thought
going to lose. So
gonna
if you're going to the Trump party when the candidate and his campaign manager both believe they're going to lose, but you're at the victory party,
We know it's a snapshot in history. We did. I actually did think I know because you pulled our table. We had a table of about 8 people for dinner, and it was me and Caitlin Collins, to her credit.
oh wow.
2 of us, I think. I think you said. I think
You know why I did that? Because I really don't think that you should do that. I feel guilty every time I call Lindsey Graham gay. I shouldn't be doing that. That is not the Christian way at all. The only reason I did it for Obama was because there was a guy, an accuser, and they arrested him and like tormented him. And he like died in poverty and obscurity pretty recently. He was a very screwed up dude. He was kind of sad prison gay kind of guy.
he was credible.
Well, he's
Fair.
kind
I don't know if I skipped it or not, but he was talking about like Hillary Clinton with her girlfriend and not Huma Abedin, but like
Her mom?
her mom or something. Like who is it Huma?
It was Huma's mom.
But, like,
absolutely telling the truth.
he's
There's no
like, I don't
question
wanna
about
out
it. In my
anybody. I don't
mind,
wanna out her.
you know, it's
But
he
she's
said,
a
he said,
lesbian.
but I don't even know if Obama's denied it. But
Hillary?
Obama
Yeah.
was on the down low for sure.
Big time.
And everyone's like, oh, how dare you say that?
Let me
Well,
see
his
if I can find- let me see
actions,
if
but
I-
I never thought there was any evidence that she had any abstract intelligence at all, like conceptual intelligence. Like she couldn't understand the world.
She was too busy surviving. She was a survivor, first and
Yes.
foremost. She was a cockroach, like that way.
Yes.
You couldn't kill Hillary. I mean, we've been around since Hillary showed up on the scene.
No, been there the whole time. I ran into her in Riyadh
Yes, I know.
2 months ago. You think you were there? Yeah, she's still here.
With her beard humor.
I almost ran into her. I walked in and wow, Hillary Clinton. It's like right in front of me. She's like 4 feet tall at this point.
Confirmation that she's still with her girlfriend, who's
Yeah.
married to George Soros' son.
I know.
I mean,
Oh, it is
what a
a-
shame that is. Most people don't talk about that. They should.
I know.
I'm sorry. She's in public life. She doesn't have a private life.
Yeah.
It's worthy of examination.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm gonna
know.
stick to my no outing policy. The only person I've broken it for is Barack Obama. I just couldn't. I'm sorry. Because you know why I did that? Because I really don't think that you should do that. I feel guilty every time I call Lindsey Graham gay. I shouldn't be doing that. That is not the Christian way at all. The only reason I did it for Obama was because there was a guy, an accuser, and they arrested him and like tormented him. And he like died in poverty and obscurity pretty recently. He was a very screwed up dude. He was kind of sad prison gay kind of
But
guy.
he was credible.
Well, he's
Very.
absolutely telling the truth. There's
Yeah.
no question about it. In my mind, I mean,
Yes.
you know, it's he said, but I don't even know if Obama.
This was honestly, I think this was another part of us loving Trump is because it was anti-Hillary and Barack Obama. We were so tired of that whole world. And Huma Abedin is what they're saying is that Huma Abedin is Hillary's quote unquote girlfriend, and that Barack Obama and Lindsey Graham are both gay.
Was denied it, but Obama was on the down low for sure.
Big time.
And everyone's like, oh, how dare you say that? Well, his biographer said that. Obama
Just gonna
himself,
say.
in a letter to a distant cousin of ours,
Yes.
I'm embarrassed to say, we have a relative who dated Obama. But it's just like shocking. But anyway, I don't marinate on that. I know you don't know that.
either.
But anyway, in a letter to a relative of ours said, you know, I've considered being gay, but it's not challenging enough. It's like, did you ever write letters like that in college?
I don't
This
think I
is
wrote
not
letters to any men.
pertinent, but it was
Actually,
funny.
no.
Did you write letters to your girlfriend being like, you know, I was thinking about being gay. Just thinking about, this morning, thinking maybe I should be gay. That's not enough of a challenge.
I would say about Lindsey Graham, it is fair game because that man holds somehow
I
a lot of
think I
power
call him
over
gay.
America's
Lindsey.
future and America's boys who fight in our wars.
Right.
And he is
No, I know. It's just, I think we have to in our business
taking care of them. Yes, absolutely.
at the beginning. You know the people around him, including his son-in-law, and
He
you,
just said you were writing speeches for
Yeah.
Trump. That's very important to
Yeah.
note here with Buckley.
you're kind of
He
punished
said it
for
before,
it by your
but- Yeah, but
neighbors
he's
and by
ready
people
to
you know. I'm sure you lose business for doing that, but you keep doing it. What's the moment where you're like, I don't know about this?
I'd had a few reservations, probably during one. I thought actually early on, I was confused that he brought in, first empowered his son-in-law, who I was kindly disposed to and thought was motivated by loyalty to Trump's program and to Trump. And then early on,
You knew Jared.
I did.
Yep.
And corresponded with him quite a bit, met with him a number of times during the early administration. One of Trump's obvious...
Well, I met Jared through you, so I know you know him.
did.
Yeah.
One of Trump's obvious deficits to anybody who was looking at him, even if you loved him for being an outsider, you knew that Washington was like a really complicated machinery. And you need people who are well versed in navigating it and making it work, because the federal government is just an enormous kind of out of control machine. And if you don't have people who understand the levers of power and how to propel your program forward, you will fail. And especially Trump, who had a very adversarial Republican Party, weasels like Paul Ryan, who had been elevated by Trump's victory.
That was another thing that really, really stuck out to me. So he's talking about like, now they're switching and like, what were some of the signs that like things might not be right with Trump? And the first one was like, you put in Jared Kushner, who was a lifelong Democrat who had gotten an actual millions dollar loan from George Soros, the very deep state, who were like, those are the bad guys, right? Whom Abedin, quote unquote, marrying George Soros's son, which, you know, that's not a real marriage, like you would think, right? That's a marriage of convenience. That's like Hillary Clinton's protege marrying into the George Soros family. That wasn't like Huma's family. Right. It was the Clintons and the Soroses in some sort of incestuous, they might even have a baby. Who knows? Oh, it's so gross.
Oh, come on.
But Anthony Weiner's out of the picture. All these people that we don't even need to know who they are.
Is it
but,
Anthony? Is that his first name?
Yeah.
Okay.
But Paul Ryan and all of these, like what we would call rhinos, hated him. So he had to be good. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay.
And was newly the Speaker of the House, hated Trump. And so
why would Paul Ryan hate Trump?
That's a really good question.
Well, they
especially
all did.
because he should have been really grateful that Trump was in power, and thereby his power derived
Paul Ryan's wife was a activist for the Democrats.
from Trump's success. But none of them seem to feel that way.
But Paul Ryan especially hated Trump.
Yes.
He did.
Yes, he did.
What do you think that comes from?
I think he was a weak man and a bitter man. And boy, did he use his obstructionist power to the detriment of not just Donald Trump, but the people who had voted for Donald Trump.
He eventually had to resign because, and I don't know, I don't remember if they like brought up and like impeached him or not impeached him, but like
I think it got close
vote of no confidence or something. But like he kept thing after thing after thing that Trump as the Republican president, but he's like, you're not a Republican because Trump, and that's what made us love him.
But I just, while we're talking about that, I just, again, want to remind you guys of during the season when we were Trumpy and we were mega and we were supporting it, all of these people like a Lindsey Graham were very and Turtle Man and, you know, like all these people were very much
obstructing
against Trump.
him. And
you know who supported him? Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massey, like all of these people, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, all of these people, Megyn Kelly, that supported Trump during the years when all of these rhinos hated him. And now Trump is surrounded by the rhinos that hated him for 4 years, longer than that, 8 years actually. Do you know that they hated him from 2015 to 2023 and a half?
Yeah.
Almost into 2024.
Yeah.
Like, I think once this is what happened. I can guarantee you that the talking points went out that said, listen, you can back and support Trump now. And I started telling you guys this in 2023. It went to the news outlets. It went to all of the rhinos and everybody was told, go ahead and support Trump. He's one of us now.
Right.
And that's when I like started to go like, wait a minute. And so Trump is throwing everybody who laid down their lives for him, who gave up their, you know, reputations, their lives, their fortune, their sacred honor on the line when everybody that quote unquote mattered literally hated him. And now Trump is willing to throw them under the bus. And the thing that gets me about this is that Trump says, you weren't just a has-been. You're a never was been. And that's the thing that I'm like, wait a minute. Not like, hey, I was really thankful for their support, but if they've left me now, they left me now. No. He was always weak. He was always a loser. He was always terrible. He was
the day they were born.
Exactly. And they
early on, Trump didn't take that seriously. One thing that made him super attractive was he was an outside candidate. He wasn't a politician. He was a businessman, and he was there for a very specific purpose. And yet he came in and not only didn't understand how Washington works, he didn't take the appropriate measures to protect himself and his agenda. Instead, he reverted to type and, you know, hired a bunch of Goldman Sachs people and billionaires and empowered his son-in-law, who'd been a Democrat until the day before. I think through the election, he had been a Democrat and a globalist. And so that was concerning and upsetting. And then the country got
And that was the clashes that we kept hearing about with Steve Bannon in the White House with Ivanka and Jared, because Steve's like, here's your policy. This is how you're going to do this. And Jared and Ivanka were like, we're not going to do those policies.
Completely overwhelmed by the faux controversy around the Russia stuff which was on its face absurd if you knew anything about Donald Trump or anything about the campaign.
And just one more note on that is that this was like memory lane for me, because as a podcaster, I was covering this stuff. I was at Breitbart every single day. What was the other place? Not Zero Hedge, that went like anti-Trump or whatever that we all were. Oh gosh, what was that? The Drudge Report. Thank you, God. So I would go to the Drudge Report and Breitbart, and then Steve Bannon used to be the head of Breitbart, and then he had to give that over. But he would leak things, and every day it was like, this is happening on the inside, and Jared and Ivanka, and like I would constantly be bringing you guys, maybe some of you aren't with us then, but like information, this inside baseball, and because Steve Bannon was leaking it to Breitbart, you know, it was really super intense because the Supreme Court was stopping it, calling it the Muslim ban. Like they hit the ground running with all kinds of policies. Like, we're not going to let anybody in from these 7 Islamic countries. We're going to stop Islamic terror. We're going to build the wall. We're going to do all these things. It was like boom, 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 boom. And Trump was actually doing the things.
Yeah.
And he was getting stopped by activist judges, and they were getting judges, and they were getting people out in the streets. And so like he's getting hammered. So we're like fighting even harder with and for him. And then like, I'm emotionally invested. You're emotionally invested. This was like a fight for our country. Like this was really big deal for like, especially for those 4 years. Yeah. It was like a thing after a thing after a thing.
And you knew that not only did they not rely upon Russia for help, they had a hard time like coalescing their own power. I mean, they were not an organized machine, and they were not allied with any foreign power. And so that was insane, but it occupied the country. I'm still quite bitter about it, actually, and people don't talk about it. We've suffered so many humiliations on the national stage since that people don't focus on it enough. But it paralyzed the country and paralyzed the administration. And I felt like Trump was responsible for that, because leaders need to be able to delegate, and they need to recognize where their weaknesses are, and they need to account for those weaknesses. And he didn't. And he empowered a lot of people he shouldn't have empowered. So I was dispirited during the early administration. It was clear to me and anybody else who was watching that he was going to win re-election despite all the COVID stuff. And at that time, we didn't know the details, how complicit Trump was by empowering the pharmaceutical companies during COVID, how responsible he actually was for that offense, that biological war against the country that he's supposed to lead. At that time, I think most people, and I were sympathetic to Trump, the position that he was in. And then so it was clear that he was going to win re-election, I thought. It was clear that he won re-election on election eve. I mean, he was over the top. I mean, the numbers were there for him. He won until they stepped in and took it away from him. So
now he's at 2020. Mm-hmm. He's saying, we know that he won. The numbers were all there. We all went to bed. He was like, oh, Trump won.
And then I thought he acted crazily. I mean,
who is they?
The Summer of Love with George Floyd, which was obviously a complete scam. The man was killed, unfortunately, but he'd stuffed a bunch of fentanyl in his ass. And he was upright and forthright with the cops who showed up on the scene. The famous video started actually minutes before, when he'd come out of the store and was sitting in his car with those 2 other people, and he tried to pass the counterfeit dollars, and he said to the cop, "I cannot breathe." So it was clear that it was a manufactured crisis from the beginning. It was designed to divide America, and it was designed to
get rid of white cops.
Get rid of white cops.
Preparatory to whatever's coming next.
Yes, very much so. And the left's, Antifa hordes took over neighborhoods in America, destroyed statues, killed people, destroyed businesses, ran rampant all over the country, but also in Washington, D.C., where Trump was president. He didn't have any natural allies in the media, of course. They distorted it. They lied about it. That was clear. But Trump is the chief executive. Trump is the president of the United States, and yet he failed to exercise his power and to quell the riots. He failed to articulate what was going on. He failed to defend the law enforcement officer, who's still rotting in prison, by the way, who was wrongfully prosecuted. And
that is really important. That officer did nothing wrong. He followed protocol, and he is still in jail because they needed a fall guy for their whole thing. Now, I don't believe that this was planned. I believe they used it as an opportunity. Mm-hmm.
Obscured the original report that demonstrated that Floyd had died from fentanyl overdose. But really, he failed to exercise his power. Trump did. He failed
to... Still had a riot outside his house.
Yes.
I called him at that time, like, dude, you cannot allow people to set things on fire across from your house. You're the president.
Like the oldest Episcopal church in the
St. John's
country. Yeah. So he abetted that. by weakness or indecision or whatever, it doesn't matter. He failed in his job to reassert power and control, and he failed to articulate what was at stake. And he failed to protect himself and his countrymen and his physical country. So, yes, I was upset about that. And then he won re-election. He won re-election and was taken from him. But even his efforts to galvanize support throughout the country, to direct the FBI to investigate, to direct the Department of Homeland Security, to articulate clearly that it had been stolen. He just kept repeating silly talking points that weren't that compelling and made him look crazy. But he failed to use the power at his hand. And then, of course, it was taken away from him and he sulked off into ignominy. He was impeached but not convicted. And then he went off into the wilderness where he soon started raising an enormous amount of money. And my understanding is that he raised over $1 billion during those wilderness years. And every time he spoke about it, it was all about Donald Trump's personal woes, which were significant because these people were not only trying to crush him legally and abuse the judicial system against him in Florida and Georgia and New York famously, but it was all about Donald Trump. It was all about the Donald Trump suffering. It was never about the people that had gone there with legitimate license to protest against an election that was stolen from them in front of them. These people were exercising their First Amendment rights to speech and assembly. And they were crushed by their own government, and they were crushed by people within their own party and the other party. They were crushed by law enforcement. They were abetted by the military. They were abetted, of course, by the media and the corporate losers all over.
So Trump throws two congressmen under the bus. Just two. Those two, Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene. And Thomas Massie wasn't even there to contest the election. I was so mad at him because he didn't contest it, right? Thomas Massie didn't. But Thomas Massie has been, and Marjorie Taylor Greene have been the loudest voices for the January 6ers.
They're going to get to that in a minute.
And Thomas Massie has been the loudest voice on the pipe bomber. And Trump has been AWOL.
For the country. So there was a major headwind. But Trump has the strongest voice in the country. Even then, people listened to what Trump said. Trump could have an impromptu press conference wherever he went. Whatever Donald Trump said was worthy of listening to. So he had the biggest microphone in the country. And he never once utilized that for the benefit of the Americans who'd supported him, not only in 16, not only throughout the entire Russia nonsense, not only throughout the George Floyd nonsense, but through the election in 2020. That gave me a lot of pause. I was like, what kind of reprehensible human being would not? It's the most basic thing to protect your friends and in politics, your supporters, but anybody who's on your side and your fellow Americans. And he had a lot of power to do so, and he didn't exercise that power on behalf of anyone else. It was all about Donald Trump. So there was a period.
There's so many people that fought for Trump. Rudy Giuliani has been maligned and ruined, put his whole career online. I was telling Michelle, he was America's mayor. He made New York safe again. He was at the top of his game, and he took this on for Trump, the election fraud. Jenna Ellis, and in Georgia, a lot of these people were prosecuted by Georgia, and Trump did not pay their legal fees. He did not even come to their defense. He did not even say, hey, what they did for me was great or right or good even. Nothing.
Can I tell you why
Just
I think he didn't?
Heartbeat.
I think that Trump did not support Rudy Giuliani's election tour with Jenna Ellis.
You mean he did while it was going on?
Well, not like he should have, and not like he could have, and not especially not afterwards.
Afterwards is what the big one is.
I think that at that point, I'm going to assume it was the jab. We could say demons, whatever, had already overtaken him. And he didn't. Trump cannot accept negativity. He can't accept defeat. And so it's like he had two choices to see. Both were a defeat. And he had two choices to make. And like, when I say defeat, I mean, he can't admit that he was ever wrong. So you admit that you were wrong about allowing the election to be stolen. Or you admit that you were wrong, that you thought that you won. He didn't admit either, but he ended up in the camp by omission that says I was wrong about whether I won or not, in the sense that Trump should have, and he handled the stolen election of 2020. He had from November until January to get this thing under control, and he couldn't do it. He couldn't get it done. And all of the people, like, guys, I hate being 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes late for our shows. Why? Because I care about you guys sitting there waiting for our show to start. I think about you, like, you're waiting, you're here, you're like, are they ever going to start? And you just keep refreshing the page. And I want to always be a good steward of your time. And Trump had millions of people who had given their lives, their fortune, and their sacred honor and years to the election of 2020. We had put it all on the line. And it was Trump's responsibility to handle that correctly, because he was the president of the United States from November until January, and he couldn't get it done. He didn't know what to do. I think that they were keeping him in a giant vat of chaos. Mike Pence turned on him. So I think that to me is the greater omission. Like he has to, that he can't acknowledge. It has to just be, well, I just have to kind of toss it in the trash bin of history that it just happened or whatever. And I'm hoping that something comes out about it. There is some talk where there's supposed to be recently some investigations going on, and we're supposed to all find out how Trump won, and they're going to get in all the nitty gritty, and all the Rudy Giuliani, Jenna election stuff is supposed to be brought before Congress, and we're all going to see it, and everything's going to be out in the open, and we're going to find out for sure definitively that Trump won in 2020. But that was 6 years ago. And that should have happened immediately. Trump should have been there. Trump should have been involved in all of it for the past 6 years.
Well, they made many mistakes, letting Comey stay on.
Yes.
Letting Jeff Sessions recuse himself.
Yeah.
Not, hiring Bill Barr. Like, just so many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fast.
Sorry, I was.
No, you're right.
Hadn't tapped into this emotion in quite some time. A lot of people are having this discussion now in the
Go back and rewind
context
it just
of Trump's
one second
obvious
where,
betrayal.
Tucker says my heart's beating fast.
Sense. But through the election in 2020, that gave me a lot of pause. I was like, what kind of reprehensible human being would not? It's the most basic thing to protect your friends and in politics, your supporters, but anybody who's on your side and your fellow Americans. And he had a lot of power to do so, and he didn't exercise that power on behalf of anyone else. It was all about Donald Trump. So there was a period.
You're making my heart beat fast.
Sorry, I was.
No, you're right.
Hadn't tapped into this emotion in quite some time. A lot of people are having this discussion now in the context of Trump's obvious betrayal of the American public, not just his voters, but the people who thought 16, 20, and certainly 24 were absolutely existential elections, and that there was no other person on the planet who could come in and right the ship, return sanity to our great country, to save our country is like the last opportunity on every front. Like, we're crumbling, we've got these enemies within, we've got these enemies all over the world who'd taken advantage of us during the Biden years because we had such a weak and incompetent, obviously, joke of a presidency. And all these people around Biden who had wielded his power in his name to destroy this country. So Trump was legitimately the last hope in 24. But before that, in 2021, 22, in 21 and 22, when he was raising all this money and it was the Donald Trump, victimhood show, he had failed when it mattered to articulate what Americans were protesting during January 6th, to articulate that it was actually a conspiracy by the federal government, abetted by all of these other big interests.
Yeah, I'm the one who put those tapes out there.
Oh,
I don't know how it fell to me, but yeah. I'm like some stupid cable news employee.
Right. You're a truth seeker. And
yeah, but I mean,
that's
so
it.
that was another weird thing. Do you guys remember? Like, this is like a healing thing. Somehow there were these tapes and they were given to Tucker Carlson and he was like airing them. He's like,
Tucker
why
didn't
was it
even
me?
believe that the election was stolen for the longest time.
His brother did, though.
Yeah, his brother did. But like, so he puts out the tapes, and what were the tapes? What the big bombshell of the tapes was the police escorting people through the Capitol.
Right. Yes.
Like, keeping
you have no
safe.
institutional power.
no, what's
And he got the tape with the shaman.
Yeah.
like a dumb cable news show? Who cares, right?
But what's the point of having law enforcement? What's the point of having a military?
That's
What's
the point
of
I'm
having
making.
a
Exactly.
judiciary if you can't rely
Exactly.
upon them to protect the Constitution and protect the Americans who abide by it and pay their taxes and work hard and raise their families and love this country? And so Trump failed on a monumental level at that time.
that was after COVID. Now, you said something really interesting. You didn't take the vax. Thank God, literally, thank God.
Never once considered it.
I didn't either.
So obviously.
Thank God. But Trump did and encouraged everyone else to take it and then never apologized, even when it became clear that the vax had killed hundreds of thousands of people around the world. And it's never really been studied in this country, but we can extrapolate and assume it killed people I know.
Me too.
So
I know young men now who took it who have myocarditis and other heart
for
problems,
sure.
weird cancers.
It was poison.
Yes.
Look at the cancer rates, look at the fertility rates, like everything about it was a bioweapon aimed at us.
Yes.
And Trump didn't apologize for that. I don't know, all the things that I've just ignored or forced myself to ignore, whatever. My flaws come out as I remember all of this and my shame.
So this is really healing. I feel like this is healing for the fractured soul because I remember Tucker getting so excited. It was Tucker and Megyn Kelly and everybody on the stage and they're all so excited for Trump in 2024 and it's this great big thing. And then like before Butler, we had so many great friends of ours. Maybe I won't name them right now, but maybe I will later, who were like, but Trump, the vaccine, Trump, the vaccine, Trump, the vaccine. I saw all over online and I was really encouraged by that. Okay. So encouraged by that. And then Butler happened and all those people flipped. And I was like, hey guys, the vaccine. Do you remember?
After Butler, there was nothing that you could say against Trump anymore.
Right.
Like and I mean mega people. Like up until then, we could go, hey, Trump, we don't like your, non-pro-life stance.
Yeah.
That you're really becoming a pro-choice president. We don't like, whatever, fill in the blank, the COVID shot. As a matter of fact, Trump was booed several times. I don't know if you guys remember that, but Trump was booed when he would bring up people that were, more rhino-ish on stage, and then they would boo. And Trump had never been booed before. And we could do that. After Butler, Trump never got booed again. Trump could do no harm. Everybody had to rally. And so it does beg the question, who was behind Butler?
Emerges well-deserved shame. But anyway,
Trump is completely absent shame about it. He, to this day, will still talk about the success of Operation Warp Speed, which allowed these things to come to market, which allowed the...
You know what he said to me? I actually raised it with him because I'm so upset about it. It's just killed too many people and it made too many women infertile, and it's just the most evil thing ever, and it's still on the schedule. And it's so immoral. It's hard to believe this is even happening. But he did exactly the same thing. Again, it's my fault for not being like, whoa, that's a red line. I can't cross it. But he did the same thing he did on the Iran war. When I talked to him about the Iran war, you say, well, like, this is hurting all these people. He's like, you don't believe in the polio vaccine? Like, that was a good vaccine, don't you think? It's like, I guess I believe in the polio. I don't know. I mean, but that's not what we're talking about. The polio vaccine is a totally different thing. I mean, I don't even know enough about it, even though we grew up next to the Salk Institute.
Yeah.
It's like, what does that have to do with it? You mentioned Iran. He's like, do you think they should have nuclear weapons? No, I don't think, not for nuclear weapons in general. But it was a non sequitur designed to shut down the conversation.
And the same tactic that's been employed by his political adversaries his entire political life.
Exactly.
So it's like, really? You're going to misquote, you're going to misdirect, you're going to, yes, dishonest.
Construct a straw man.
Yes, there we go.
Well, you're an anti-Semite? You're racist? Do you think Iran should have nuclear weapons? Are you pro-Islam? It's like, no, I'm an Episcopalian, leave me alone. I mean, what?
I saw data yesterday that said 80% of Americans took the kill shot. 7 million babies have been compelled to have this shot this year alone.
This year?
This year alone. Yep. And every medical, every
Are you being serious?
I'm being totally serious. Every new med student who comes out of doctoring school is compelled to take it. Hospitals are
so you got to commit an abortion and take the mRNA shot before you can become a doctor. Wonder why, doctors are like the worst people in America. Because they break them at the outset.
Exactly.
They make them complicit in a true crime.
Yes.
And once you're complicit, it's like you can't join MS-13 until you kill somebody. you can't be an OBGYN until you murder a baby. Then you're like in on it.
You can't wear the Hell's Angels patch until you shot someone in the face and gotten gonorrhea. Okay.
No, it's so right. Yeah, there's almost too much. Sorry. You're working me up into a frenzy.
Sorry, me too. I'd shelved some of this.
Okay, so
long.
that's kind of my question. So this all happens in COVID. You're a COVID dissenter. You're an honest man who believes in actual health.
Yes.
You're not taking the shot. Your family's not taking the shot. But Trump is encouraging the shot and then is still encouraging the shot and they're still giving it out under the Trump administration. Was this a red flag for you, or are you just like, oh, it's too much, I can't deal with this?
It's really so hard to keep track of it because at the same time, the entire world seems like it's crumbling all the time. Seems like we live during the Twilight Zone during the Biden administration. Like everything was like a daily offense. Like, really, could that be happening? And there are no adults around. Like no one's going to
tearing down all statues to whites, replacing them with like
the judicial system has become totally corrupt and frightening.
Exactly.
And
jury trial is like a nightmare scenario. Yeah.
I mean,
you don't have any peers left in America to try you.
Jury of your peers. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh man.
No, you're right. There's just a cascade of tragedy, so it's like hard to
think. Got to earn a living at the same time and protect your family and your children while all of these offenses are going on. It's really hard to keep up. But when you start thinking about the things that Trump had done, especially when you're looking back now on the incredible, not just betrayal, but his sense of disdain for the people that had worked on his behalf, for the people who believed in him, for the people who had sacrificed so much. And it's hard to remember now, but it was only a couple of years ago if you said you were a Trump administration, if you were a Trump voter, Trump fan, people had license to like beat you up in public and take your stuff, and smash you in the face, take your hat off your head. Like that was the prevailing attitude in America, and it was allowed to continue. Like law enforcement would never come to your rescue. It's like, oh, it's like the age.
I do not believe this at all. As of April 2026, data indicates that approximately 77% of the total U.S. population, roughly 255.8 million people, have received one dose of the COVID-19, whereas adult vaccination 18 over supposedly has 97%. That
so
can't be
I don't think
right.
that's real because I know too many people that did not get it.
Oh my gosh.
However,
I cannot be in the 3%.
No, there's no way. I don't believe those numbers are accurate at all. But I will say this, that I think that a lot more people than we think did get it, because I know that like so many Trump supporters went ahead and got it because Trump said. And that's the thing where, and I think they're going to get to this in a minute, where they say like, essentially Trump's like, you didn't have to get it. You should have done your own research. You know what I mean? Yeah. So let's get back to that while Leah's still looking it up.
Age-old thing, oh, you wore a slutty outfit, so you're being raped. It's like, oh, you wore Trump paraphernalia, therefore you know that you're going out in public and someone's going to assault you. Like, that was pretty much the law of the land during so many years, I think. It's my perspective about it.
We're literally true. Yeah.
Literally true. Yeah. Terrifying. So I didn't focus on it. And also, it's a binary choice. Right. Who is going to run this country? It wasn't obviously Cackling Camel Toe was not going to be entrusted with power.
Who is Cackling Camel Toe?
She's that.
Was she on the ballot? I actually voted in this election. Don't normally do it. I didn't see any Cackling Camel Toe on the roster.
She was that Jamaican lady who, was the AG of California.
Oh, Kamala Harris.
Yes, that one. And then
the woman who couldn't pronounce her own first name consistently.
Literally 3 or 4 different pronunciations.
This is why you have to question AI. Okay. So there were over-reporting, and I believe they were over-reporting because they were getting money for the shots. Mm-hmm. Okay. So to get those numbers back, it's about 15 to 22%. And that makes more sense. Did not take the shot.
I think it's got to be higher than that.
It's about that.
Hammered all the time and not in a good way.
Her husband's like smacking women around.
Economic injury to get this man in office, and to witness the vitriol and the moronacy and just the never-ending me.
There were a lot of people that had economic injury to get him in office, and we experienced that. That's why I'm a little.
Well, it wasn't to get him
emotional.
In office. We suffered because of the COVID lockdowns.
We suffered. The first 4 years, we've suffered the whole time.
Well, no, you're right. Hang on. Let me screen share here.
We suffered the first.
We suffered huge
the whole time. We suffered financially starting 2017.
And I don't want to bring this up again because I know you guys are like literally so tired of hearing it. So I'm only going to say it really fast. We had a channel that was growing exponentially. It was huge. It was getting very, very big. And because we defended Trump and because we defended the fine people, hoax thing in the Charlottesville, we lost that momentum
monetization on YouTube.
So we've had literally millions of views and 3,000 videos canned by YouTube, just
things
thrown
stolen from us,
into the
our
trash
life's
bin.
work taken from us.
Like, imagine that you're an artist and somebody comes and they, delete all your songs, or they burn all your paintings, or, whatever. And yes, I have them back. I have a lot of them backed up, but I don't have all of them backed up. There's several that I really, really want that I cannot find anywhere.
YouTube was never going to go down. It was a place to put your stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Okay?
And like, if they had lost it in a data breach, that would be totally different.
Yeah.
But because they made a choice to throw our stuff into the trash bin of history, it's like, and you can say, well, that's their company, they have the right to do that. No, they didn't. And here's why. And we talked about this at the time that it was happening. Does the telephone company have the right to, delete your text messages on your cell phone?
Right. Or your voicemail box. They have your voicemail box.
Like, they are a public utility. And the reason why they get away with what they get away with is they cannot be sued, because it's like, well, we're just a public utility. What people decide to post on our platform, it's not our, fault. So that needs to be revoked from them. If you want to say it's their company, that's fine. You have the right to say that. They have the right to say that. Then you do not get to have the benefits of the protection of being a public utility.
Exactly.
You have to choose. It's one or the other.
So you're not allowed to have or say or do things that are illegal. Okay. And what they did, it was Hillary Clinton. They created this carousel. They wanted to, meaning anybody, average person making a video on news was at the bottom, and that they literally went to CBS, ABC, CNN, and they said, you need to make little snippets about news now that you didn't really do before. Okay. And we need to, when there is an important thing, we need to make sure that you are a search result.
Guys, no, finish your thought.
So what we found out, the reason why we started going live, okay, is because if we went live, those new CNN and ABC, they weren't there yet. They weren't there yet. So like when we did Syria, like when we were doing Syria and Trump bombed Syria, we had this was huge. Over 2,000 people watching live. The comments were going brr, the brr, the brr. Like, you guys don't even have no idea what it was. It was like a temple thing for us. Like, it was like, guys, it was like comments so fast that you couldn't even read them.
So I know this is not to say anything about Leah and I. This is not the point. I don't mean it this way, because I couldn't care less. Let me finish my thought. I couldn't care less.
I didn't really finish mine, but okay.
About, well, I started it. Let's fight about like sisters on air. I said it first. Okay, I was the one. I literally. I'm the one that started it.
Buckley didn't.
I'm the one that started this conversation. Okay, I'm the one that brought it up. You didn't even bring it up.
It's okay? I'm saying something first.
So, when it comes to this time period that we are being nostalgic about, when Leah and I did shows, I would go and I would enter it, like the topic, into the search bar on Google and YouTube. And consistently, we were on the front page of every breaking news story that we chose to cover.
On all of the internets.
On the whole Google.
Sometimes it was like second or third page, but still that's like a lot.
On all of Google. On all of YouTube. On any topic that Trump, if Trump had, the Trump meme of him being Jesus. If we had gone live about that in 2017, we would have been on page 1.
Or 2,
whatever.
But Alex Jones was consistently page 1.
Yes, we were right there with him and Steven Crowder.
Yeah.
That was it. That was all that existed in the internet space at that time. I don't need to be a big name. That's not the point. But they targeted us because we supported Trump. Mm-hmm. Alex Jones was able to withstand it because he had the money to start his own platform.
He had to do that, though,
and we lost all momentum because we went to DLive. That was the only choice that we had.
There was
after
no
they
Rumble,
kicked us
no
off.
BitChute, no live
None
stream
of
at all.
these places existed. So they literally, it's a miracle that we still do a show. Okay.
And we had to be like super censorious on Facebook.
Yes.
Do you remember that? And like
there
for
was
the
a long
longest
time we couldn't go live on
for
Facebook
like
at all.
4 years, it said this page shares misinformation because our Facebook page took off too. We would literally have like 12. I remember looking at me like we have like 1,200 comments on a thing. And I was like, oh my gosh.
And
this
you know
is
what?
insane.
I still consistently get people that will like, I just had one the other day. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen you guys in years. Where have you been? It doesn't matter.
Underneath
That's not the point. What I'm
censorship
trying to
cloud
say is
because we supported Donald
we
Trump.
did suffer at the hand of
Yes.
defending this man.
And so I
Okay?
don't want anybody, and that's what hurts the most when people come.
Well, you
and
were just never MAGA. You never
you
really
when they
loved
call
and
you
supported
like
Trump.
a liberal or like you I get that you progressive, you whatever.
You
and
just
it's like,
wanted Hillary to win. That was it in the
you,
beginning.
or you
Now it's
wanted Kamala to win, and it was like, you know what? Only Jesus is going to show you what I suffer for this man.
Right, exactly.
And I didn't do it for Trump. Let's just be clear.
Right.
It was because of the speech that said, I did it for the ideal. The ideal was we are getting the government back to the people. I did it and I still do it. And I'm still fighting no matter what. I'm fighting for the people. I'm still fighting for the ideal. I'm still fighting for the unborn babies. I'm still fighting for no wars. I'm still fighting for the border. I'm still fighting for the American person. Okay? And Trump isn't. And that's what this is about.
Leah told me today it was going to be called group therapy. She took the group off, but it's still group
It's
therapy.
therapy for y'all. Feel it. They're feeling it. You're feeling it.
Me, and you're not with me, I'll define what the program is now once I'm in office. It doesn't work that way. You define the program before you run for president. People attach themselves not to you as a person.
Come on.
They attach themselves to your program for their benefit.
Program.
And that's the whole point.
I got with the program.
Yeah, I'm mad about it.
So what was the
too.
breaking point for you as someone who had a Trump bumper sticker, wrote his speeches, voted for him 3 times, wore the Trump t-shirt, wore the MAGA hat in Northwest DC? What was the point at which you and who also has acknowledged that like for a decade, attacking Trump, hating Trump, being mad at Trump were all kind of markers for attitudes that were anti-American, anti-white, anti-you.
Yes, absolutely.
So like for you to be criticizing Trump in public and to feel as vehemently as you do, you certainly have justification. I think you've shown that.
So I just want to just be clear, if you felt that way, you guys, everybody watching right now, we're in like bold red Claremont County. And even like we have neighbors who would put their Trump sign in the garage. You know what I mean? Like very few people, you had to get out to the country. We're like, oh my gosh, look at all these Trump signs out here in the country.
Well,
right?
we had so many neighbors that complained because it was like every time they put out a Trump sign, it got stolen.
Yes. Yes.
But to say it is another question. Like, what was the point at which you decided, like, I can't be part of this?
Part of it is the rebirth he had in 24. It was just you could discard as irrelevant a lot of the attacks on Trump because they became just like background noise. Oh, he said this. Oh, he even early on when he asked the Russians to steal Hillary's emails when that clearly wasn't what he said. That was clearly wrong. Oh, he's a white supremacist and he's never denounced these people. I mean, all of that stuff took on
The Charlottesville.
with such universal background noise that you'd be like, okay,
thing.
you're absurd. Anybody who says something like
WikiLeaks.
that, you're just a liar. You're dumb. It doesn't even mean
He's a racist.
It doesn't mean anything. But then legitimately upset about his failure to stand up for America and Americans during the George Floyd thing. His complete abnegation of responsibility with January 6 political prisoners.
But he pardoned them.
Oh, he did pardon them. He did. And that represented the first time that he'd ever stuck up for them. And when really mattered is when they were, rotting in prison with no constitutional guarantees of a speedy trial or hygienic conditions or ability to eat real food or not being assaulted by cockroaches or, prison guards who used them as sport. And it was completely not only allowed, tolerated, but expected and even celebrated in the media and by Republican elected officials, many of whom are still in Congress, by the way. So there was that, but he pardoned them once he was in office. But my understanding from several people, I remember witnessing it at the time because I was upset that he said nothing on their behalf. Again, that's the power he could have wielded when he was in the wilderness. He could have talked about them first and foremost. He could have informed people about the conditions they were in, and he could have supported them. But he also could have supported them with the huge financial cash that had been flooding in to him personally because he never stopped raising money. He raised an enormous amount of money in the wilderness years, and he spent not a dollar of it for the benefit of those people. Didn't pay for their legal fees. Didn't take out advertisements on their behalf. Didn't do anything that he should have done.
That is huge, you guys.
Did he even call the families of the men that committed suicide in prison?
I don't think so. These were people who were fighting for him, who showed up, like he's going to talk about in a second. The FBI put out this giant net to get like grandma who walked through the Capitol building, which we own, by the way, as the American people. Okay. And we've got people doing drugs and fentanyl on the streets. You got criminals everywhere. You can't lock down Chicago, but suddenly you can just get grandma and all these like people who were on the Capitol. Their only crime was like on the building. We know like Coy Griffin, all these people that had to keep going back to Washington, D.C. for these unfair trials. That was not a trial of their peers, by the way. And Trump didn't visit them in prison. He didn't mention it because you know what? You're a loser.
The torment.
You're a loser. You got caught. You're a loser.
The torment that anybody that attended January 6th lived under and possibly still does live under.
Yeah. Like, what if they're going to come for me?
quantified.
What if they're going to come for me?
And you know what I think? I think that this just occurred to me, and I don't want it to be this low, but I'm wondering if possibly the fear of Trump not being in office caused a lot of those people to go ahead and vote for him because they were afraid that if Trump didn't get in office, then the FBI would continue to come after them. You know, because our entire FBI, guys, the child sex trafficking force task.
They didn't take all of them, but they took a lot of them.
They took them to then go and arrest grandma all over the nation. Like our entire FBI was circumvented. And they had to all then look at these quote unquote domestic terrorists. They did this for 4 years.
Yeah.
Okay. And Trump has not done anything. He's not like even, I would
fire all the FBI agents that went and arrested these people.
I would declare a national day of acknowledgement.
Yes.
Right? For anybody that had suffered at the hands of the FBI coming after them because they went into the Capitol building on January 6th. Like, Leah and I didn't go because we heard the Holy Spirit say, don't go.
But we wanted to be
go.
there.
I wanted to
Yeah.
be there in support, and I wanted to be there in solidarity. And, you know, I just, for me, this, it begs the question. It's one of two things, and this is only one of two things. And it's possibly both. Either Trump was so preoccupied with the attacks on himself because of January 6th. And he was genuinely terrified that they would put him in jail as well, that he felt like he needed to distance himself from them because of self-preservation. Okay. Either that or he genuinely doesn't care
Yeah.
about them. And I think it's both.
That anybody with a lot less resources would have done. So I forgot your question. Forgive me.
Given all of that, but he pardoned them.
But he originally pardoned them, yes. But it took an enormous amount. There's someone named Suzanne Monks who was very active advocate on their behalf. I think she's a wife of a fellow who was incarcerated. I may be getting that wrong, but she was dogged and persistent throughout all of it. And she claims now, and I believe it, she's reminding people at the moment that the Trump we have now that has betrayed his base and well beyond his base, every other American who relies upon him to steward this country with sobriety and concern for them first and foremost and only, that it wasn't easy to get Trump to pardon them, that she had to personally rally people, and you were helpful in this, to push his hand, to force his hand, to make it untenable for him not to pardon them. And so he did.
I did do that. I talked to him about that.
I know you did.
Just on principle. I didn't,
Why in the world would you need to all these people pushing and pressuring you to pardon these people?
Mm-hmm.
But you say on principle. It's principle that you have. It's not principle that Donald Trump had.
You've got to fight injustice. That's the whole point of leadership.
Yes, very much so.
Is to
It's
help
a principle that we have, but it's not one that Trump had, to fight for the people who fought for him.
your people. And to the extent you can, like, we're never going to defeat injustice. It's the state of the world, but you have to keep trying.
Yeah, you do what you can. And he had a lot in his arsenal to do that. And he did it. And it's pretty easy, as he's demonstrated, to sign documents. Pretty easy, pretty easy to do, to sign executive orders, whatever power they have. But so it wasn't a lot of skin off Donald Trump's back to do that. He did the right thing, and I applaud him for it, just as I applaud him for closing the border. It's like those two things. I can't really think of many other things that he's done. I can't think of anything else really that he's done since he's been in office now for a year and a half. So he did the right thing eventually under great pressure, and good for him for doing it. But he could have done it a lot earlier. He could have made a much greater impact for the benefit of those Americans who were not rich, who were not well known, who were motivated by completely reasonable and constitutionally protected outrage over what had been done to them. I mean, they are representative of America, not just Trump voters, America and Americans, the best kind of people, I think. And to see them, by the way, in the background, I know it didn't get a lot of news at the time. Periodically it would. No time in American history has the FBI been rallied with such vigor and focus and economic empowerment, like to go in and root out these supposed, criminals. What had they done? They had walked on the grounds of the U.S. Capitol, the People's House, exactly. And then they'd gone back home to their hometowns to take care of their children and their jobs. And they would have manhunts, like publicized manhunts with, 30 guys in SWAT gear and helicopters in their neighborhoods.
Arrest the unarmed whites. Yeah, got it.
So awful.
Meanwhile, all of our cities are crumbling, and Washington, D.C. was like a free-for-all for gangs and carjackers and people walking around with guns in public. It's okay for the criminals to have guns, but God forbid there would be some hardworking taxpayer exercising his right in the Second Amendment and the First Amendment. So the two foundational freedoms in our country, and Trump was unwilling to protect them in any meaningful manner until he signed their pardons. Again, good for him for doing so, but he still failed in that responsibility as far as I'm concerned.
So what was the breaking point for you?
Really, initially, it was the attack on the attack on Iran initially last year, when I guess we successfully eradicated all of their nuclear capability. Were you aware? Because it was still on.
I'd heard that.
It may still be on the White House website, because it was on there even when we engaged in this latest war with Iran, this unnecessary, what will be probably a forever war that has killed Americans and is going to degrade us as a country significantly, already has. It was that, and then it was his reaction, his complete failure the first year to hold anybody to account for all of the crimes, the obvious crimes, all of the things that had been exposed, from Russia to COVID policy to the January 6th stuff. I mean, all of that has been demonstrably revealed to be
the Capitol Hill pipe bombers,
all of the Biden-era corruption, the auto pen scandals, the preemptive pardons, the people who had abused their national security credentials and their positions of power to hurt Americans. That is all laid out even by his own intelligence officers. Tulsi Gabbard, a year ago revealed that Barack Obama was directly guilty, I believe, of treason. I don't know how you could say it any other way. A former president who advocated and financed and allowed his national security apparatus to survey and obstruct and take out a sitting U.S. president, who, again, is not a man. He is representative of the power that we invest in him as Americans. So it's not an offense against Donald Trump. It's an offense against you and me and everybody we know. So his complete failure to utilize the information that he had at his fingertips and in Justice Department, and by the way, U.S. Congress, U.S. Senate, 3 levers of power supposedly designed and at his disposal to enforce the law, to restore sanity, to hold people accountable for breaking the rules, to the detriment of our country and Americans. And he failed to do that. And then he attacked Iran. Then Charlie, I guess there are many other things in between, but once Charlie Kirk was murdered, I feel like he failed on a tonal level. I don't feel that he displayed enough real sympathy or focus on finding Charlie Kirk's death. I mean, killers, forgive me, on solving the crime, on using the entire apparatus.
Do you remember when the reporter was asking about Charlie Kirk's death and Trump started talking about the ballroom?
The U.S. government to solve this crime in a way that would allay people's fears of a conspiracy or other things going on. Donald Trump should have gotten up and given a press conference and said, we are going to find out who's responsible for this. It doesn't matter what the end results show. We have a responsibility as a public figure who was publicly assassinated, and we're not going to tolerate this. And whoever's responsible for it is going to be brought to justice. And he totally failed to do that. I think he failed to articulate that, and he failed to use, again, the apparatus that is entrusted to him to do that. And it's a huge apparatus, by the way, which, while the rest of America is degrading and getting less effective, I think we have a very effective, very clued in surveillance and technology and well-funded U.S. military and law enforcement apparatus that knows every detail about Americans at all times. They can reconstruct. They could tell, if you were in the Capitol during January 6th through a whole variety of means, but your cell phone primarily. They know who was there. They know who's everywhere. They know where you are at all times. They can listen in on you. But they can certainly pinpoint where you've been and what you've done. So why wouldn't you utilize that power to the benefit of justice?
Yeah. I mean, the director of national intelligence, the head of the counterterrorism center, these are people who are appointed by you to root out corruption, to, fight back against foreign threats, make America safer. But
defend our citizens against not just attack, but foreign attack. If there's any element of foreign involvement here, which it seems early on there was. And then the fact that sorry, can I continue this answer only because it makes me so mad? The weird dynamics surrounding Charlie Kirk's death, the investigation, the initial press conference held by the supposed head of the FBI, Kash Patel, who said a lot of nonsensical things behind that podium, and no one has ever explained it. What does it mean? What does it mean to see "I'll see you in Valhalla," Charlie? What is the significance of the number 33?
What does that mean?
I don't know. No one's ever been compelled to answer that question. But Kash Patel stood at the podium and made a very big point. He could have made a lot of points. First of all, they released video of the supposed killer Tyler Robinson jumping off like a 20-foot roof. It was a very bad quality video, even though they had high quality video on that entire campus. They released this ridiculous, like absurd, like 1973 quality VHS tape video of the supposed killer. They released all of his supposed text messages that detail all of the, if you were looking to incriminate yourself, if you had gotten away with a perfect crime, then you inexplicably decided to write down every incriminating detail of your crime. We're supposed to believe that he did that. We're supposed to believe that the guy in the crowd, George Zinn, who'd been in various other hotspots like the Boston Marathon bombing, and he'd been a witness at 9/11, that George Zinn is going to just immediately erupt out of his seat, take his trousers off, and run down screaming, waving his hands, saying, "I shot Charlie," like within the first 30 seconds of it. Right? Like you wouldn't, if you wanted people to believe.
Feels a little Jack Ruby-y.
It does, very much so. I was expecting Tyler Robinson to be visited in prison by
Louis Joyland West.
Yes, exactly.
I pronounce you crazy.
And then you have an inexplicable fast-acting cancer that kills you within 6 months. Oh, that's normal. But sorry, back to the Kash Patel thing, the fact that he gave this press conference that was devoid of any real detail that you would want in the aftermath of this public execution. But then to emphasize things that seem so random and inexplicable, like Valhalla. Who the hell knows what Valhalla is, and why? How is it appropriate to this?
Well, as Scandinavians, we know what Valhalla is, which is, it's the Norse heaven. It's a pagan understanding of heaven.
Yes.
Right. So Charlie Kirk is a serious Orthodox, lowercase o Christian. He's like a real Bible believing Christian.
Yes.
He does not believe in Valhalla. He rejects Valhalla.
Yes.
Like that's ridiculous, actually, to say that about a Christian man. Valhalla?
Yes.
No, we're monotheists who believe in Jesus. There's no Valhalla in my world.
Yes.
Why would you say that?
And no one's ever held him to account. He's never felt compelled to explain it. Or the emphasis on 33. It took 33 hours to bring this guy to justice. And then he repeated it several times.
I don't know. I literally have no idea.
So everything surrounding it creates, obviously, unrest and disillusionment and anger.
Can I say my favorite line? We had dinner with Russell Brand at home last night. Obviously, you were there. And his line that, the thing about lone gunmen is they always seem to assassinate people who challenge institutional power. It's kind of amazing. Your average lone gunman just goes out, who knows why, and kills people who are criticizing the people in charge. Maybe the people in charge should connect with the lone gunman community. Kind of like McDonald's and Coca-Cola got together. It's just like a natural partnership. Have they ever thought of that? So I shouldn't be laughing with the murder of a friend of mine, but like it is.
The absurdity
and I'm not
is
laughing
so
with the
in
murder,
your
of
face.
course. But it's, the lone gunman, that's incredible. The lone gunmen never take out anyone who's helping establish power. You ever notice that?
Oh, I have. You'd think they'd stop using the lone gunman. They've used him so often.
But it was the war that finally scrambled your eggs.
Yes. Yes, the war, Charlie, and then, of course, the Epstein files.
Oh, the Epstein files.
The Epstein files, the JFK files, the 9/11 files, all things that he had committed to showing to the American people who actually own it and have every right to know the details about that huge terrorist attack and the assassination of our president. And obviously the Epstein network, which not only had a ton of victims, but obviously represented hidden power over our elected leaders. So Trump had committed to doing all three of those things. He's done none of them. But beyond just abdicating his power, he was disdainful of those. This is when he first started defining MAGA, Make America Great Again, as Donald Trump the man, like investing within himself in almost biblical fashion. Like, no.
So I understand that this is one of our best shows ever. I understand that we have a gazillion people watching right now.
She's being facetious.
I understand that this is the video that everyone in the entire world wants to watch tonight. But for me, it was important I felt like this was for any of you out there that put your heart and soul into this movement like Michelle and I did.
Mhm.
And maybe I did so more than everybody else. Maybe I put more in than other people. Maybe that's why I feel more. I don't know. I like to think everybody put in equally. Okay. Did we?
No, you're fine.
Okay. Except we're a copyright or something. Like, no, please, Tucker, we're trying to help you out here. In what Tucker and Buckley are talking about, all MAGA people eventually are going to come to the realization with. So if you're coming later in life and you want therapy for waking up, for putting your heart and soul into a movement and then having that betrayed, here's kind of the moment where I feel like Buckley explains that Trump went from being about, this is your government, this is you, to like, it's me.
Mm-hmm.
So go back to the video if you wouldn't mind.
For anybody watching on Resistance Chicks Church, the title didn't get changed from Wednesday night's show, and I apologize to that. We are live over there. I haven't seen any of the comments, so I'm so sorry. I'm gonna fix that in a second now that I
Oops.
realize what's going on. So my apologies to you guys over there that are watching anyway. In spite of it being the wrong title. And
MAGA is not what I articulated clearly and coherently for 10, 12 years in public life. And as President of the United States, MAGA is what I say it is today, tomorrow morning, anytime during the day, because I'm Donald Trump. So I will determine what is MAGA. And further, if you consider yourself to be allied with this political coalition that I created over a decade, then I don't need you. If you're insisting upon transparency and the things, you're insisting upon me making good on the promises that I made to you in this, relationship that we have. I promise you something, you vote me into office so I can effectuate the change that you voted for. Then if you're insisting upon that, then you're a flippin' kook and I don't need you. So it was really at that moment when that was his response to the Epstein files. And then when he engaged in the most ham-handed PR stunt I've ever seen, which was great because it revealed how many fake paid for, supposed influencers there are on the right, brought them to the Oval Office, gave them binders full of Epstein material that had already been in the public domain for a very long time, and said that was the entirety of it. And then, of course, because he's Donald Trump, he contradicted himself 6 or 7 times. Epstein wasn't real. Epstein was a pedophile. He didn't have any victims. He got his elected officials out there to say those things in front of Congress. It's just laughable. And then, of course, he turned on Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I think of all the elected members of Congress represents in sincere, hardworking fashion what it meant to be a not Trump fan, but a Trump lieutenant. I mean, this was someone who was inspired by Donald Trump and Donald Trump's program to leave her successful business, run for Congress, and thank God for her because she got there and discovered what a captured institution it is, how flawed the individuals there are, how hostile they are to the American people who put them there, and specifically the Republican voters who put them there. And then to see Trump turn on her and treat her the way that he treated her was,
just rip her to
she's an
shreds.
individual and she's tough and she can handle it. But that kind of like repetitive, crazy disloyalty, and to treat someone who had actually put themselves to hard work to great effect.
Really did. She worked so
was
hard for him
unforgivable.
and his agenda
I thought
and fought
that's
for
when
him.
I really
She
started.
texted Trump and she said, my son is getting threats because I've disagreed with you on the Epstein files. And Trump responded to her by text message and said, he deserves it. It's your fault. People are threatening the kid's life. And Trump says, no, you brought this on him. It's on you.
It's disgusting.
Pause it real quick.
It's outrageous. I didn't know that. It's terrible.
Yeah,
it's terrifying too,
Yeah.
actually.
So Marjorie Taylor Greene fought for Trump and the J6ers. And again, she was the head of the congressperson coalition that Trump won the election in 2020. She put her life, fortune, and sacred honor on the line. And I think as a result, she lost her marriage. I think because the demons in Washington D.C., I don't think she would have regardless. She fought for Trump harder than anybody in Congress. I just want to say that.
Shauna says, Shauna on Facebook says, I enjoy hearing them as I agree with everything that they are saying.
Yes, all of you
Actually,
millions
to
of
be
people
so
watching
tone
right
deaf,
now.
to be so evil, but to also be so tone deaf.
So what, and then the war in Iran, which he clearly, had no plan for, wasn't enthusiastic about at all. He was fully aware of the risks. He was fully aware that it was a betrayal of his explicit promises for 10 years not to do this. He did it. He did it against his will. That's my highly informed read.
Yes.
I mean, I could be wrong. You don't know what people's motives actually are, but I mean, from very close vantage, I can say I don't think he was excited about it, but he did it. Clearly he felt he had no choice. So, and I think that's widely understood.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I have no sympathy for him for doing that.
Right.
I don't.
Why?
Sorry. Because he's Donald Trump the man, but he's just one man. And invested in him by all of us and, 72 million American voters is an enormous responsibility. Here's a guy who had demonstrable success in his life, had done a lot of things, accumulated enormous power and money, and has a big family. He's 80 years old. He's got grandchildren. I just don't have any sympathy for someone I do have sympathy for a regular person who is being threatened and pressured.
Yes.
So physical threats, okay. So someone shoots you. They tried to shoot him. Someone tried to shoot him twice. That's demonstrable. But his level of fear over that, to me, is not even, I'm not sympathetic to it. It's not excusable. He is not just one man. He's the president of the United States. Even if his power is limited, as he's demonstrated it obviously is limited, he does have the power to stop and hold a press conference and be like, I don't know what it looks like, but he could say, I'm under incredible pressure from this outside force. Obviously, Israel is exerting this pressure on him. He could be forthcoming and straightforward about it and rally the American people behind him, people who not be, a lot of people know it, a lot of people are aware of it and they're upset about it. And he should just acknowledge it and say, I'm in this untenable position, but I'm no longer going to put up with it. And even if our government is thoroughly corrupted in every single aspect of our government, and there's this outside foreign power that is generating all this fear, there are some elements of the U.S. government he could be using to his benefit to root them out.
For sure.
It just requires him to have the fortitude to declare it. The other thing is...
No, can I just ask you a question?
Yes.
That is one thing you learn from growing up in D.C. and just being around it a lot, is that these agencies are totally corrupt and the structure of them is just rotten. And it's really hard for good people to have any effect on outcomes. Doesn't mean there aren't good, patriotic, intelligent people serving in every single one of these agencies. And you never want to say a nice word about CIA or DOD or DOW, or whatever they're calling it now, but any of these agencies. But it's just a fact that there are really good people motivated by patriotism who work there. And they're not the majority, clearly. They're not in control of the levers, obviously, but they're there.
Yes.
And some of them have migrated over to the White House. I mean, they work there right now. I know them. So, and really smart. You're like, wow, I can't believe someone that smart works in the government, that patriotic, that pure of intent, like really good people. I can hardly believe it. I guess maybe it's just a numbers game. You get 10 million people in a government, like some of them are going to be outstanding, but they are. And like, there's been so little effort to find them, to empower them. And to the extent that they have been empowered, Joe Kent, for example, they get completely destroyed.
Yes.
And then you have like people like Sebastian Gorka, who I don't even know if he's an American citizen, but he's clearly like a highly damaged person, not a smart person, not a loyal American in any sense. And he's still there.
It's such a daily offense
But
to those
I
people.
guess what I'm saying is, and you would just know this because of the life that you've led, you could make a good faith effort at identifying those people. Of course, you'd have to go through, it'd be a huge fight. It was very, very hard.
Yes.
But you could try to find those good people, right?
Yes, I would think so. That's my point. He could coalesce the true, legitimate, smart, dedicated Americans who are there, who must feel impotent rage over what's going on.
They text me.
I mean,
Yeah, they're all like on the verge of resigning. Yeah, no, I know.
It's been hugely dispiriting, actually, that Joe Kent seems to be the only one who's come out publicly and on principle.
Well, they're all making this calculation, like the good people, and there are a ton of them left in the administration, including in the White House. There are good people. I just can verify that.
There are.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course there are. I mean,
they don't
good
all
people
agree
are-
with me on everything, but that's okay.
Right.
But their motives are pure. They're not there to get rich. They're there to serve their nation. And they're all thinking to them, so the ones I have spoken to, which is a lot of them, like, well, I'm here. I can do good on the margins. Like something will pass my desk and maybe I can have an effect. Like God put me here for some reason. I should probably do my duty, even if I hate it.
Yes. They have
I
to start
think
thinking
that
bigger
is Tulsi Gabbard, and I think that Joe Kent just couldn't do it anymore.
picture.
You may be right. You may be totally right.
I'm sure they're siloed or whatever, and I'm sure that's some comfort to know that they're being true to themselves and true to the country. But at some point, it's going to take those people actually talking to each other and saying enough is enough. I mean, I actually think we do have remedies for an out of control, megalomaniacal, destructive president. I think, honest people who have that power should consider taking it. 25th Amendment is there for a reason. It's not crazy to talk about it in this context. If our country is suffering great and lasting damage, which it seems to be, then sober minds need to come in and exercise what power they have for the benefit of all of us. Easier said than done, I'm sure.
Right. Easier said than done. But I mean, it's certainly, I think saying the truth, whatever you think that it is the first step toward redemption of yourself and of your country.
Yes.
Like, tell the truth.
So this last bit here, I feel like kind of is interesting. Has this been the plan all along? Was it a plan to betray the American people?
It's your number one duty.
Can I say one other thing?
Of course.
I'm certain the fear of the physical threat is real. That's
yeah,
been
obviously.
demonstrated a lot. But also, if it's shame, if there's blackmail material as there is on so much of our elected officials, if there isn't Trump, it's like, I'm sorry, you've demonstrated that you don't have any personal shame. I mean, you've demonstrated that a lot. You persevered through all of these accusations of disgusting personal behavior. How shocking is it really if there are pictures of you doing compromising things? Not very. And it doesn't even matter. Like, actually, I hate the term, but sack up.
Yeah.
Like, really, again, it comes back to the obligation that he has, not just to Donald Trump, to everybody else in the country, well beyond Donald Trump. Who cares? He can survive.
So looking back, because I mean, you and I and everyone else who supported him, you wrote speeches for him, I campaigned for him. I mean, we're implicated in this for sure.
Yes.
It's not enough to say, well, I changed my mind, or like, oh, this is bad, I'm out. It's like, in very small ways, but in real ways, you and me and millions of people like us are the reason this is happening right now.
Yes.
So I do think it's like a moment to wrestle with our own consciences.
This is what is so important.
You know, we'll be tormented by it for a long time. I will be. And I want to say I'm sorry for misleading people. It was not intentional. That's all I'll say. But anyway, but the question does present itself immediately. Like, what is this? Was this always the plan? You don't want to be a conspiracy nut, but like, clearly there were signs of low character. We knew that.
Yes.
But it didn't, there are tons of people of low character who like outperform their character. It doesn't have to be.
Sort of the norm, actually, these days, I would say.
I've outperformed my character a lot. I don't have especially.
Marjorie Taylor Greene had an affair on her husband, and so did what's her little face. And most people, what he's saying is outperforming your character. All politicians are outperforming their character. Okay.
Or
high character, right?
Well, I don't think they are. I think their character is so low that whatever they do is just, better.
But you try your best. But what was this? Was this always the plan?
Was this always the plan? This is the question that we all are thinking about. And I love Tucker and his brother. Like, listen, we were trying to do what was right for our country. We didn't know what was going to lead up here. And, we need to take stock and talk about these things. But have you ever noticed, back to like outperforming your character, that there are these actors, maybe like a Chris Evans or something, who plays Captain America, or a Tom Hanks who will play The Neighborhood, who's the guy? The Neighborhood. Mr. Rogers, right? Okay. So the actors really Whoopi Goldberg, they outperform their character all the time.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. That's it.
Looking back after the last year and a half, it seems like it kind of was. And it's easy. Well, you could get really deep about it and say, what was Butler? How was it that and Ryan Ruth? I mean, he was subject to 2 legitimate assassination attempts. Have we ever gotten to the bottom? I know you've talked a lot about this, but have we ever gotten to the bottom of that?
I talked a lot about it. I don't know the answer, but I know that those investigations have been stymied. Fact.
Yeah, stymied from the very top, from people who actually would have the power to get to the bottom of it.
And the motive.
Yes,
yeah,
very much. So
he's dead. We don't care. I want to know how this kid almost killed the president, supposedly.
Most people don't even know his name.
The enormous amount of money he got from Miriam Adelson now seems suspect to a lot of people at the time. But, there's a lot of money in politics to run for president.
Miriam Adelson is the Jewish woman whose husband and her kept hounding Trump. They went to the White House like they owned it, gave him $250 million. I think the husband died, but she was interviewed and asked, how can you explain to other people how to have influence in politics? And she's like, no, I'm not going to.
It requires an enormous. I mean, Kathleen Cameltoe went through $2 billion in 4 months. So, sure, there's an argument to be made that you get money from those who will give it to you. It's just the nature of that game. But it's still reprehensible, and it's still a big question mark. Why would someone who has obvious and demonstrated allegiance to a foreign power give Donald Trump $250 million while he's running for president? I mean, how is that defensible? It's really not. If Russia had given a PAC for Trump, if the mayor of Moscow had somehow, assembled an enormous amount of money and put it in a 501c3 for Trump's benefit, would that have been acceptable? Of course it wouldn't have been. So what does someone, it's so basic, it comes back to the money. Like, what did they get in return for that amount of investment? And it's clear.
I get it. No, I mean, of course, I agree with every word that you're saying. I just think given his behavior and his demonstrated disloyalty and viciousness to previous supporters,
Yes.
why wouldn't he display the same lack of loyalty to Miriam Adelson? I mean, that's kind of the question. The only people he's been loyal to are the neocons and his donors. So he's attacked, so he attacks Islam. Some of us stand up and say, probably shouldn't be attacking a religion. Oh, you're a Muslim, secret Muslim. You love Muslims. No, just I like reverence, and I don't think you should attack people on the basis of their religion. Don't attack the religion.
Yes.
And all these like evangelicals are like, oh, see, you're a Muslim. The next week he attacks Jesus. Okay, because it's all connected, right?
Clearly.
Of course.
They're well beyond money, obviously.
Well, right. But the one person he's never going to attack is Rebbe Schneerson.
Yes.
And, the Chabad leader who's passed, but who I'm not attacking, by the way, but who is regarded as the Messiah by many of his followers. I don't think Trump should attack him, to be clear. But Trump would never attack him. That's the one Messiah he will never attack. So, like, what is that? Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
It's
no.
totally cool to attack Jesus. Oh, it's a joke. I was saying I was a doctor. I heal people. Well, that's how Jesus described himself, by the way. You're attacking Jesus.
Yes. No, demonstrably so. He did it on
Obviously,
purpose,
on a
yes,
Sunday.
absolutely.
You're attacking Jesus on a Sunday. It's totally fine. But we all know, and again, I'm not asking that he attack Rebbe Schneerson. He should not. But he never would. He'd die first. So, like, you tell me what that is.
Gosh, I wish I knew, but he should be called to respond.
I agree.
Yeah, very much so. It makes no sense. Although it's revealing, as I think every American
They supported him.
very much so.
How
Yes.
do they feel?
I don't know a single person who doesn't feel betrayed, left behind, upset, hostile,
Yep.
freaked out about the consequence of this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a small thing, what
No.
we've done. I mean, if the President of the United States is not just I don't think he's my protector, but he's the protector of the country. He
That's right.
represents the country.
That's correct.
And that's his sole job. Actually, one job only is to husband the resources that you have, that you were given. And he's failed on every level, but he's also degraded what we had, and was already under attack for so long. So it's unclear what's going to happen, but I've never seen, I'm 55. I've seen a lot of what could have become unrest. I've never seen more fertile ground for real unrest than what we have now, especially with the advent of AI, the current economy, our debt, and the prospect of more Americans dying in a country they can't find on a map and fighting a fight that they can't articulate, don't understand, and don't want. So
you got to wonder if that's accidental. I mean, like if you wanted to destroy the country, this is exactly what you'd do.
well, the entire program for the latter half of my life has seemed designed to weaken this country, to divide people, to make them less happy and more enslaved.
It does seem that way.
So I'm going to stop it there. I do think that this goes to one of the comments that I made was that we got the president we deserve, not the president we wanted. Because this is the guy that represents the fight that you think and we think that we're going to fight. We all, okay, like and say we tried the businessman, we tried the, hey, let's put in the Saul, let's put in the worldly leader to fight off the deep state. We don't really want to go the other route because the other route requires sacrifice. And people will say, well, I sacrificed for Trump. No, I was punished for supporting Trump. But real sacrifice is what God is asking you to do. Real sacrifice for what God is asking us to do. God is asking us to get on our knees, humble ourselves, and to start fighting for the unborn again. Like you guys, when was the last time you heard anybody say anything about pro-life or pro-life legislation or anything? Trump destroyed the pro-life movement. People are embarrassed now to go to to even give to pregnancy centers. Why are we even doing that? Trump says abortion up to 12 weeks, 15 weeks. So we really don't need pro-life centers anymore. The Republicans are pro-abortion, by the way, now. The Republicans are pro-abortion. They silenced the governor running for North Carolina. I think that's why he didn't win, the black guy, because he got the memo. The memo went out. These memos go out. We need to win elections. Do not say anything about being pro-life. That's the one thing they didn't touch on. That's my most important issue. And when they did that, that's when Trump lost me, because I knew that I cannot go with I can't vote for a Republican who says I'm not pro-life. You actually have to be against your party, and you have to be your own party, because the Republican Party platform was, since Roe v. Wade, we believe we are going to be the ones that fight. We are going to say life begins at conception. That has been my entire life, the Republican platform. Life begins at conception. And that is why Catholics and evangelicals would be like, you know what? We are going to hold our nose and vote for Romney. We're going to hold our nose and vote for McCain, because we have to, because we're voting for the babies. That was a lie. We knew it was a lie. That's why we didn't vote for Romney and McCain, because it didn't. And I remember when my first election was George Bush, and he was pro-life, and I was voting for babies. And now Trump, who in 2016 era was saying, well, yeah, abortion is murder, so maybe we should try the woman for having an abortion. And I was like, that is the guy that I was willing to vote for, that made this long list of pro-life legislation. Somebody, some demon, the shot, whatever, got into his ear and eye and said pro-lifers cost us the midterm. So when you begin to make deals with Molech, with Baal, and say, you know what, Baal, you can have those abortions. You can have those babies. You can kill them. I want to win this election. I'm out. I can't vote for you, because that's what he was saying. He wasn't saying that's what he said. And then they removed the wording in our word. I'm going to be clear how I say this. They removed the wording that marriage is between a man and a woman, meaning that the Republican platform became pro-gay marriage. Okay? Sodomy and abortion. That's not my party. I'm not part of that party. I'm out. Now, for other people, it didn't, even Lila Rose and Allie Beth Stuckey and all these pro-life people, they voted for Trump. And they're still okay with him, and they're still trying to get him to turn around or what have you. Okay? I'm not trying to turn why in the world? The whole point of voting for Trump was so that we didn't have to get somebody that would turn around. Okay? You pray for a guy, you pray for his protection, you pray for this, but when he's totally betrayed you and he's left you and he's having all these adulterous affairs, it's like, I'm out, man. I cannot say stay with this guy. Now, if he does anything positive, just honestly, like Obama or Biden did, I would, and I talked about this. Imagine if the Democrats removed their wording that you could have an abortion up to birth. What if they said, you know what, we're going to put limitations on abortion. We're going to put limitations on abortion at 12 weeks. I'd be like, wow. I'd be like, oh my gosh, it's so awesome. And so the Trump derangement syndrome has switched. Trump derangement syndrome is I voted for a guy that said, we're giving you the government back to you. And Trump has said, never mind. MAGA is whatever it is that I say it is at any given moment. And so you have to listen.
So, what's
and then we
like
just
this?
finish that my one sentence there, because I've been thinking about it. And this is my last thought, and you can sum it up. What we've had in the past year, especially with Trump, is so many statements all over the place that it's like in England when they went when they were Catholic and then Protestant and then Catholic and I'm a Catholic today, I'm a Protestant. You don't know anymore. This is the diabolical part. You don't know what you believe, because you have to wake up every day and see, what does Trump tell me what to believe? Mm-hmm. And that's a cult.
And thank you. And I'm not trying to say that Catholics are a cult, because a lot of you guys are awake to this. But for the longest time, no matter what the Pope said, it was literally gospel.
Yeah.
The Pope heard, or the Catholic teaching is that the Pope hears directly from God. So whatever he says is divine inspired words.
Yeah.
So I do want to round this off, because it, like I said, and I saw your comment. She's like, I don't understand how Tucker is a healing for the fractured soul, because she's not a fan of Tucker, and that's fine. Tonight wasn't about Tucker. We played the interview for the talking points of what they were discussing. And the healing comes from when you have been betrayed, when you have had your belief put into,
You put your heart and your soul and
We have to
everything
be able
into
to-
something. My soul, bro, my soul was fractured by Trump. I don't know about anybody else's, but the whole Trump movement, it was so exciting to get in our car and get on the highway. And I love the Trump rallies and I wanted to support this guy and I'm pro-life and things are going great. We're going to turn this country around. And I'm not the only one who feels betrayed and disfranchised. And Tucker says, my heart's beating fast. And people, and the comments underneath that video are like, I have TDS, Trump disappointment syndrome. It's Tucker and Buckley explained and put into words what millions of people who voted for Trump are feeling right now. The feeling is a fractured soul. It's a disappointment. It's a sadness. It's a, where do we go from here? Like, what do we do now that we know that we've been betrayed?
I don't even remember my thought that I was saying when you interrupted, but that
Susan
was good.
said, how was this a healing for the fractured soul?
No, it wasn't Susan. It was Sharon.
Sharon.
Susan. Hi, Susan. Our neighbor, Susan. Our former neighbor. I guess you never really were our neighbor, but client, friend, whatever. She says, so true that the RNC is not pro-life and not pro-family. Well said. And I do want to read some comments here as we end, but for the sake of just rounding off my thoughts on this, that I cannot remember what I had, but it's fine. It doesn't really matter. I want you guys to be able to translate this so that it never happens again. And what I mean by that is when you start to conflate a human being and their movement with putting your heart and your soul into people that are fallible and then attributing prophecy, providence, divine will, and like there was this diabolical.
I didn't play all that. All the prophecy stuff.
There was this diabolical, and I mean demonic, relationship between the quote unquote prophets and the big, and I still see the comments every day. You guys leave them every single day. Day does not go by that someone does not leave a comment on one of our posts, on one of our pages, on one of our videos about the Kim Clement prophecy. Not a day goes by as if the Kim Clement prophecy is gospel.
Is the Bible, is
Like
the word
Bible.
of God.
So guys, you can't do that. You cannot do that. Kim Clement, I grew up listening to him, was a fallible man.
He got a lot of prophecies wrong.
He got a lot of prophecies wrong, okay? Just because some of those things, which could have been easy to say at the time, because Trump was toying with running for president at that time, that the prophecy was given, we tend to throw our all into it. So what happened, and this is a very hard pill to swallow, we were taken by a fantasy. We were taken by a fantasy of something that wasn't real. We left reality. Reality went out the door. Sorry, guys. When our thing does that, the camera gets frozen. Let me see if I can fix it.
The Trump will be my trumpet prophecy got put together with the he will go in.
Proclaiming my name, and he'll come out shouting it.
Okay, come out.
Whispering
my name. He'll come out shouting it.
Yeah.
Kim Clement in another interview said that was about Obama.
Mm-hmm.
So this prophet that we're listening to said said Obama, he was pro-Obama because his daughter at the time was pro-Obama.
Yeah.
And so he was being led by his daughter's political leanings, which were left, by the way, to say that Obama would go in whispering his name, which he didn't even whisper Jesus' name. Yeah. And Obama didn't come out shouting Jesus' name. So unfortunately,
it wasn't about
Kim
Trump,
Clement,
and he missed it.
And that was a false prophecy.
So my point is that this is a lesson for all of us. I'm not saying that we shouldn't ever collectively get behind something, but that something has to, if you're going to get behind it with your heart and your soul and all the things,
Mm-hmm.
It has to be all about Jesus
Yeah.
and not about a person
Amen.
leading a group of people to Jesus even.
Mm.
Okay. And this is a lesson that we have learned. And the republic on which we stand
Yeah.
was founded on an idea of godly principle
Yeah.
that said man is fallible. So here are all of the checks and balances from a multitude. Now listen, we're going to go back to civics. There are 3 branches of government, and within those branches of government, there are further branches within the government and multiple checks and balances, the least of which to hold the least amount of power is the executive branch. Okay. And so, or is it the judicial? Pretty sure
Judicial.
it's the judicial, but still, what we have now is we have the legislative branch seems to hold the least amount of power. And then the executive branch seems to hold somewhat the most amount of power. And the judicial branch is somewhere in the middle. That's not the way that God and their founding fathers intended America to be. So when we're looking at Leah and Michelle, okay, it's healing for the fractured soul. So what do we do with this? Number one, we all have to have a radical acceptance of what has happened to us and to our country and what we went through. We had a giant high that kind of maintained.
And we
it
were
was kinda like
fighting with
rocky.
cortisol levels, guys. I don't know if you remember, but fighting for Trump and being a Trump supporter had high cortisol levels. Like it was a big
But it
deal.
wasn't, it had high dopamine levels as well.
Sure.
And so we were under the influence and we were not able to stay as consistently steady.
Yeah.
We were always up and down and up and down. And honestly, look, I don't feel that anymore. And I'm free from it. I'm also free from the delusion that Trump was going to make America great again.
Yeah.
I believed that he would. Like I did actually. And so what we often do in our lives is we find people to latch onto. And to whether it's a pastor, whether it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, best friend, person we don't even know, like a podcaster, whatever it is, actor, we find these people to latch onto, like, this is the person to follow. You remember the longest time it was like Tim Tebow, or these are the ideals of who, we should follow because they are, whatever. We are called to be the hands and feet of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have gone through our own form of deliverance over the past several years of being disenfranchised, of being set free. And what comes with that, and this is the good news, is a gigantic level of freedom. And for those of you that don't feel the freedom yet, you're not all the way healed and set free. So Leah and I were ahead of the curve on this. And so I want to say, this is my final thought on tonight's show, and including Tucker and Buckley, which I did thoroughly enjoy. They are clearly on a journey. Leah and I have been calling out Donald Trump really since 2022, 2023. Okay. We have been, and we lost a bunch of our followers because of that.
We've lost some on Rumble, I just noticed. This is not to get any viewers.
I need to get this thought out. And you can come back to the numbers because it's not about the numbers at all. When it comes to this interview and tonight, thoroughly enjoyable, very cathartic, but I'm very happy to see them arrive at these conclusions in the last year and a half. When Tucker was campaigning for Trump, my heart sank because I saw he was being diabolically influenced. I could see it all over him. You guys didn't want to watch his show. I didn't want to watch his show. No one wanted to listen to him because there was just this darkness surrounded by him. And there was a little bit of a selling of your soul. What I do find interesting is that during that time that he was stumping for Trump, all of the Trumpy people didn't want to listen to him. And then when he stopped stumping for Trump, they still are calling him out. It's like, wait a minute, how does it, but whatever. But this is the kind of crux of what I'm getting at and bringing them back into this. They're on a journey. Tucker's not perfect. His brother's not perfect, clearly. Leah and I are not perfect. All of this, if you've gone to public school, or you had an abusive parent, or maybe you had an abusive church, or whatever, we all have trauma, which is why we're here at Healing for the Fractured Soul. We're all on a journey back to a baseline. Okay. And I don't mind telling you guys this. Lee and I have been spending our entire lives trying to just get to a baseline of what a normal American citizen would have had in 1955. With a 2-parent household, a dad that worked, a mom that stayed home. And it was just starting, like we had come out of World War II. Things were starting to level. And then here comes Vietnam, and here comes Roe v. Wade, and here comes Alfred Kinsey, and everything starts to be upended. And so now when you're born, you are not born at baseline.
Right.
Right?
You're not born in a healthy
I have
society.
a message to give to you guys. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
It's as if you were born a crack baby. Can't be helped. It's just in you. It's in us. So we are on our journey to get back to baseline. That's what Healing for the Fractured Soul is designed to do, to heal all of the little fractures. Then once you can get to baseline, then you can rest assured that the decisions that you are making of your own free will. But right now, as long as you are still fractured, as long as we are still fractured, as long as we are not at baseline, we are not making decisions of our own free will. You do not have informed. You don't have informed consent. And so most of you have made decisions in your life with the best that you had, while under the influence of somebody else, something else, trying to control you to keep you from being what you can be. So I have a lot of grace for Tucker and for Buckley and for a lot of people. Well, Michelle, where's your grace for Trump then? You will know them by their fruit. I'm watching Buckley and Tucker repent and say, I missed it. And I'm sorry.
And I might miss it in the future.
And I might miss it in the future. And I'm not all knowing, and I'm not all powerful. And you shouldn't listen to me on everything, because I'm fallible. When I see people do that, I can support them. When I have somebody that's out there saying, trust Trump, trust me, I'm the be all, the end all, you must listen to Trump because he's God's appointed and God's anointed. And so anything and everything that he does is anointed and appointed by God. And that is a Christian cop-out. And so we do need to heal from being taken by the wave.
So a few comments here. Do you still have your mega hats?
We don't. I thought we did. We sold them at the yard sale, but it wasn't that we were trying to get rid of the mega hats. That's a whole nother Healing for the Fractured Soul about why we did the yard sale last year. And so we were just selling anything and everything that we could that wasn't tied down.
Adding that his tweets are not penned by him based on their experience as an editor. People have pointed out he's sometimes too short. I don't know. I think his tweets are penned by him, but and then Sharon was like, I
addressed that already.
Remember that snake poem Trump loved to read at his rallies? Do you think he did it to reveal himself? It feels like we got bit by that snake. I don't think that he did it consciously. I think that it's kind of like God almost letting us know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't necessarily think it was a setup. I think Trump is a narcissist, so I don't think that he purposefully planned to set out to manipulate and use the American people.
And you know what we've learned on Healing for the Fractured Soul is that narcissists, when they say something, they actually intend to follow through with it.
They do. And it seems like they lie, but they actually just believe it. And so I think that I don't think Trump is a psychopath. I think Trump is a narcissist.
I said that at the start of the show.
And so these are two very different things. Psychopaths are the Miriam Adelson and the people who plan to plot to control and manipulate people.
Let's add, though, something to this. And I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. But I want to remind you that they don't. I know you've interrupted me so many times in the show. It's not even funny. It's fair play. So
there's no such thing.
I don't ever want to interrupt you. It's not a competition. So speaking of Miriam Adelson, if you can believe Candace, there is the possibility that Trump did say he was going to mess her over after having given him all of that money. So it's not that narcissists don't lie. It's not that they always believe that they are the highest of everything. It's that they don't lie any more than the average person.
Right. They do lie, though. It's not like they're like people that don't lie.
I wanted to just insert that. I apologize for interrupting you, though.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of things to say. I think that there's more to this show. And actually, what I wanted to do on this particular show, and I'm sorry if some of you aren't there yet, I asked Michelle. She didn't think that the Tucker interview was as cathartic to her as it was for me. I told her that it was a healing for the fractured soul for me. That I have put my heart and soul not into Trump, but into the Trump movement. I have made some of my very best friends in my entire life in this movement. This is a movement that I don't want to leave. Oh my gosh, all of my very, very best, dearest friends came behind this movement. And I knew it was never about Trump for me, but I'm telling you, when you would drive out into the country and you would see Trump sign, Trump sign, Trump sign, you know what that meant? I'm bold. I will protect you. I believe in the Second Amendment. I am a patriot. And we all coalesced around a name, not a man. And then unfortunately it inversed, and the devil really co-opted it and co-opted this movement and co-opted the good-hearted people, the Christian people, the anointed people. Like the whole point in like the run up to January 6th was January 5th, which was a day of fasting and prayer and worship on like, God, please come into this place. So I have to believe that God is answering those prayers. I have to believe that all the prayers that we prayed, our brother, Neil Peterson, we didn't even know at the time, was at January 6th. And he was out singing Amazing Grace and praying with people and ministering to people. And it was all the Trump supporters were all the good people that I knew, all the righteous Christian people who were just so bold and willing to stand up against tyranny. And I just like, every time I saw somebody with a Trump hat, it was like, yes, it was like, but interestingly enough, it was like those same people who wouldn't wear a mask, those same people who didn't get the vaccine. I'm telling you, all the lefties got the vaccine. Why is it that the Trump supporters are not getting the vaccine? There was something in us, something that, and then there's that movie, or that song that I played over and over and over again, because I saw it played with a where they were doing Trump rallies. We are the warriors. Do 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 do. What are the lyrics to that?
I remember that one.
And it was about, we're ready to go through the pain. We're ready to go through we're ready to go into the swamp, to fight the swamp. And we're ready to take them on. We're taking on the deep state. We're taking on the bad guys. Whatever we got to do, Trump, we're going to do it with you, but we're ready. You don't even have to do it by yourself. Just step to the side. Let us do it. Type thing. Like, we're ready to take our country back. And it was I never thought that Trump was going to make America great again. I truly believed that the economy and everything was going to crash and fall. But what I believed was that this group of people was going to make America great again. And guess what? I truly believe that it's still going to happen. I believe that America, and I have goosebumps, so here we're going to end on a positive note. I believe that those same great people that got together under Trump, remove Trump from the picture. We're all connected now. We are connected now. And I'm going to tell you, under the banner that we need to be connected is the banner of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Is the banner that Jesus is King of Kings and Lord of Lords. I have never seen more people talking about Christianity than I ever have in my entire life. You know what? It's cool. Joe Rogan's talking about Christianity. Theo Von's talking about Christianity. I don't even know who Theo Von was until 5 minutes ago, but I know he's got a big podcast. Okay.
And a mullet.
There's so many people talking about Jesus, and I'm telling you, something has broken forth. The mold has broken. And so God used Trump. He used Trump. And so your prophets that were getting this idea, what happens is, I'll say, I'm in with this. What happens is you get a word from God. Michelle, then you put a lot of toppings on it. And then
that's good, yeah.
You begin to add to it. And then you get really confused because, all those prophets were like, I think Trump is going to win in 2020. He did. He did, and then you had to walk it back and say, "Well, I missed it." Then you had to go back and forth, and you're all confused, Mrs. Prophets. And the prophets have literally, they were hearing something in the spirit, and then fake prophets piggyback on the real prophets, and then what happened was they became a victim to the prophecy.
Right.
To the words. And what is prophecy? It just means the word of God. It means God was saying, I'm going to use this guy.
Right.
But then you put in what he was going to use him for.
Well, and you said he was going to do everything that this person did was going to be God. And that's not
what God said.
Yeah.
God used Trump. It was God that he defeated Hillary in 2016. Okay. That was a miracle. And these numbers, I want to remind everybody on the numbers on 2020, because Biden was supposedly got 81,283,501 votes. Trump supposedly got 74,223,900. Now, 81, we're just going to go 81, 74, Biden, Trump. Biden 81, Trump 74. What happens in 2024? Trump wins by a landslide. Do you know that Trump got more electoral votes than Biden did, but less votes? You see, Trump got 77, Biden 81, Trump 77. So 2020, the president won with 81 million. In 2024, it was 70. Don't tell me that those people that thought it was so important to vote in 2020 thought, I'm going to sit down in 2024.
Maybe they were all dead.
Maybe they all died. Maybe that many people died.
Or maybe they started out dead.
So it was 77 to 75 from Trump to Harris, and Trump won more electoral votes with that. How was that possible? I'm going to tell you how. In those Democrat-controlled states, they flooded with the mail-in ballots. And then in Fulton County, Georgia, in Philly, Pennsylvania, in Michigan, in Arizona, they flooded with the mail-in ballots. They locked down. COVID was a lockdown to flood this country with mail-in ballots so that Trump would not win in 2020, even though he did win. Okay? I believe the diabolical came into Trump with the COVID and came into Trump with all the attacks. And Michelle, I'm going to end in prayer.
I would like to read some comments, and I don't have the energy or
I will read them.
Pain management to know. I wanted to do something really fun at the end because somebody had left a comment, but I don't have the energy to do it, and I'm sorry. I want to read some of these comments because Chris has single-handedly carried the entire Rumble chat the whole show, so I want to acknowledge.
Is there anybody else on Rumble or just
Chris tonight? Well, there was a couple of other people, but I want to read some of her comments. It's becoming clear that he only cares about himself because FISA is supposed to be okay now, that they are not harassing him personally anymore at this moment.
That's good.
And so I'm glad that you brought up FISA because I wanted to remind everybody what Trump said, that he was okay giving up some of his rights for the protection of America. And I want to remind you who said that first. George W. Bush, after 9/11. And we all signed our name on the, dotted line of giving up our rights with the Patriot Act. And our country has gone downhill ever since. She says the January 6th victims are probably still being targeted by multiple unlawfully overreaching government agencies who are using big tech. She says egomaniacal narcissist who cares about a ballroom, not the victims of gross injustice. The betrayal is real. Amen, Leah. Murder of the innocent is the key issue. And I know only Jesus, and the unborn babies are sinless. But you are the best examples I have found on how to actually live for Jesus. And that's why I'm here. Well, praise God. That's beautiful. Thank you for that.
Ruth says, grieving Charlie, now grieving Trump.
That's good.
Kind of glad Charlie did not have to see Trump's betrayal, because here's the thing. We've all rallied behind Charlie Kirk. I want you to just a second envision that Charlie didn't die. That he didn't get shot. And Charlie just continued to be Charlie. Charlie would now be hated by Trump.
Exactly.
Hated by the right.
He would be in the same avenue as Tucker and Candace.
And this turning point would not be a turning point anymore. It would stop.
Right.
Turning point would shut down. We just had a rally where Erica Kirk got up and was like, and I trust President Trump with everything and how to run this country. He is the best president we have ever had.
So it begs the question. I will do this real quick because I just want to kind of take a little trip back memory lane here, because somebody left a comment on this video the other day, and I didn't know it was still up on our channel.
For people that just blindly follow and they get all offended,
Look how young
you
we
know,
are.
when there is
So young.
we gotta sign off a video that somebody brought this up again at the very beginning. That I would play it. I think it may have had an F-bomb in
All
it.
the
A
wrinkles
parody of some Alex Jones sayings to a band that I wasn't familiar with, Resistance Chicks. I'm laughing at him. He knows who that Boniver is, but can you make it any bigger? There's a couple of curse words in here. We don't.
Had you seen this yet?
I guess I haven't. Look at my face.
I brought this to you?
I guess so.
That's hilarious.
It's hilarious to me. I'm sorry. This is so funny. It's hilarious.
Hillary's in the creepy weird sick stuff, man. She sleeps in the same room with that
Since you
creepy
brought up
weird
Luna,
woman whose mother wears a hood over her head. That woman number one is ugly. Imagine how bad she smells, man. I told her and Obama just stink. Obama and Hillary both smell like sulfur.
I'm hurting right now. Oh my gosh, whoever did this gets $500 million.
Fire pot and goblins are hobbling round coming after us. My spirit gets close to that evil and I feel it go. You're such self-centered. We don't even notice and it's rising up against us. Millions upon it, people of the very worst type, and I'm so pissed. We're gonna stab your daughter at the mall. We're gonna stab your wife, your son. We're gonna stab you with a butcher knife, and every police chief is gonna say, we love our Somalis, we love our Muslims. Oh, they're so good. Oh, they're so sweet.
There you go.
Is that it?
Okay, that's it.
I was watching Fox News as I worked out this morning.
I'm sorry. I love Alex, and that was hilarious. There weren't really any curse words in there, were there?
more. That was funny.
That was so funny. My abs are hurting. Oh my gosh. Please make more of that. Yes. Alex is hilarious. How can you not love that? We will be putting the link to that in the description because there's so many awesome things on the internet.
Obama, you stink.
That was one of them.
So there's a little throwback to very young Leah and Michelle. Look at that.
Was that
was fun.
2017?
I think so.
That 9 years ago?
I think maybe a long time ago. Let's see. 8
8 years ago.
years ago. Yeah.
Mm.
So, I just thought that would be a little fun throwback since we went way back. We did the Wayback Machine there, and that video is still available on the internet, which I find hilarious.
We had our Resistance Chicks channel reinstated minus thousands of videos. And
yeah,
a
no,
ton of
literally.
views.
So I didn't even know that it was still there. Most of the videos that we had uploaded
Who
there are
brought
gone.
that up, or you just found it?
Somebody left a comment on it.
What did they say?
Well,
Was it like a good comment? Was it
let me see. Jones Speaks. No, that was from 8 years ago. Hang on.
2 days? Go back up. I saw
There it is.
2 days.
This is crazy. 8 years ago, 12 comments on the other side with the little prayer hand.
Oh. What does that mean on the other side?
Well, I don't know. We're on the other side, I guess. I have no idea. But we are very, very young looking. That's all I can say. So, I kind of lost my youth for this man.
I don't even know. This is a different face.
My
This
voice
is a
sounds
hardened
different.
face.
It is.
I need voice. I literally was working on vocal exercises to get it back up.
No, don't do that. That sounds terrible. Oh, that's going to be too annoying for them, Leah.
No, it's an exercise you can do with the
but
pen.
it's going to be annoying for them. Leah. I muted you. That's annoying in the mic.
It's not.
It is actually it's annoying to hear. That's annoying. It does not sound nice. It sounds like dogs barking. It might sound nice to you later. Even Chris is making a face. Although I think that might be a smiley face, but it could be a shocked face. Leah, don't do it again. I will mute you. I hold the power.
On the internet.
I'll mute you.
I feel like my face is hardened.
Our faces are hardened. I don't mind telling
it looks hard. Look at it was so soft, and now everything is a little bit more chiseled.
First of all, that happens with age, number one. But I think that we've been through some stuff.
Did we have a better camera?
Nope. That's Leah. That's
Trump's
just
camera.
I think that's just what we looked like 8 years ago. 8 years it's rough. We've been through a lot for this man.
I don't feel like you look any worse.
I don't think you do either.
I don't think I do either. I just look different.
Just different. Just
I
like
like your
you've been out
hair.
to sea a little bit. I don't do the dark makeup anymore. Never wear that anymore. That's good.
You never did that hair. That was relatively in the past 6 years. New haircut. Okay. God.
Help us all. Help. Can that just be the prayer sometimes? God,
I'm angry. I've had enough of these people. They're a bunch of Christian murdering scum that run giant death factories, keeping babies alive and selling their body parts. What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and face these scum. They literally come out from under rocks. They have green looking skin, and they run around screaming, "We love Satan, we wanna eat babies." I have them on video. Hillary's into creepy, weird, sick stuff, man. She sleeps in the same room with that creepy, weirdo woman whose mother wears a hood over her head. What the heck? That woman number one is ugly. Imagine just how bad she smells, man. I'm heard her and Obama just stink. Obama and Hillary both smell like sulfur. Something about the mall.
We got it. Yeah.
Stab
okay.
your mother at the mall. They're gonna stab your wife, your son. Ooh.
They're gonna stab you with the butcher knife.
And then said, we love our Somalis. We love our Muslims. Oh, they're so good.
Oh, they're so sweet.
So what happened was some folk singer decided that Alex Jones was so ridiculous that he would take these clips
of
and then
literal
sing,
things that Alex had said.
And then there was a competition.
Which we did not submit.
Which
I don't
we
even
did
know
record.
if we have it anywhere. But
We
we went
recorded.
in our best friend's creek. We went down there. We played guitar and we recorded.
And I was so mortified singing these lyrics on her
in
property.
front of Catherine.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, Catherine, go away. This is funny. This is our world. You aren't part of it. You don't want to be."
She was very weirded out by it.
She was. She's a good Christian Catholic or
Yeah.
Baptist
No,
girl. Sorry. Oh my gosh. Okay, God. That was not our prayer.
That's why we have the lyrics memorized.
Breathe in, guys. We're still in this fight.
Amen.
One of the things I felt like the Lord speak to me was that we're here to chronicle and report on the most intense and important political, physical things that are happening in our lifetime. I do not believe that the rest of our lives are going to be so monumental and so important to keep an eye on and keep a track on. And we were here and you were here because I believe we staved off something.
Amen.
I believe that Hillary Clinton was an opening up to the abyss. And I believe that the Trump movement was God saying, hey guys, do you really want to try it without me? Go ahead. It won't work. You can't bring down Satan without Satan. That was the one thing Michelle and I said over and over again. You can't cast out Satan with Satan. So Father God, we come before you.
Amen.
I thank you that however many years of our lives doing this is worth it, and it's important, and we will be validated, and history will say you were there for a reason. You were part of a movement that worked and did everything they could in their power to stop evil. And now we're going to use God's power.
Amen.
And along the way, we've tried to kind of mix the two, but we're going to separate that. We're just going to go the Jesus way, the crazy Christian way. Jesus,
Amen.
Humble this nation. Humble it. Humble this nation. Humble this nation so that we can really truly call upon you for rain.
Amen.
Call upon you for healing. Call upon you. Turn this around. Turn this ship around. In Jesus' mighty name, amen.
Amen.
Michelle's
Glenda
Michelle's
says,
got to get out of here.
thank you for sharing the Tucker video. It was good to hear. Blessings and good night. Well,
Oh,
good night,
good deal.
Glenda. Ohio Croatian says, Retro Tuesday. Yes, it was definitely Retro Tuesday. All right, reminder, and I did bring a bottle down. I don't know where it went, but the Hallelujah hand wash is available. I just made a brand new batch because the response, especially in person, has been amazing. Like everybody in person that tries it, that tried it at the show we did the other day, they were like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I love it. And then they bought it. So I had to make a whole new batch. So that is still available on the website at shop.resistancechicks.com. I did just make a brand new batch of Homestead Hands lard tallow body butter.
It's so great.
So I was completely sold out of that. So that's brand new. If you order that, it is coming at you fresh. Same deal with the Armor of God beard oil. That is a fresh batch. So those are ready to go in both the pump and the dropper. So shop.resistancechicks.com. Thank you guys so much for your support. Like, because we have been doing this so long, because we have put everything that we have into
lives, our
this,
fortune, our sacred honor.
you guys and your prayers and your donations and your shopping at the store, like all of those things just rallying together, it means so much to Leah and I. So I do want to do a giant shout out to everybody that continues to tune in throughout the week. Maybe you're a weekly viewer, maybe you're a monthly viewer, maybe you're just in every once in a while and you pop in and you say, hey, I'm so thankful. But especially to those of you that are consistently here almost every single time we go live, you guys are amazing. And I want to thank you for being so not loyal to us, but just loyal to what God is doing and to the truth. And that means something. If you would like to write us letters and tell us, your story or whatever, you can do so by sending letters to P.O. Box 107, Milford, Ohio 45150. If you do send us letters and you don't want it read on air, put that on the outside of the envelope, because we kind of like to do like a surprise, like, hey, we're going to open this and read it live. And then sometimes feel like I didn't want that read. So like, okay, I'm so sorry. If you would like to be a monthly subscriber, there are supporter. There are several ways to do that. And we appreciate those of you, the small handful of you guys that do that. You guys are amazing. You can do it on Rumble. You can do it on shop.resistancechicks.com. Just click the support button there. It gives you an option to do a monthly donation. You can do that via PayPal. You can support us via Venmo. You have to ask for that one, I think. No, that's available on resistancechicks.com. The Venmo is available there. You can set up monthly donations, or you can just do regular donations. I am not asking for donations, but if you want to support us and you do support us, know that it means a lot to us. Like we're not just like, oh, you don't matter. You matter. Okay. And I try to stay on top of sending emails at least every couple of months individual and just say like, thank you. I don't get to do that on Rumble because I don't have your email addresses. So anybody that's subscribed on Rumble, just shout out to you. You guys are amazing. So I think that's it. We will be back here probably tomorrow night for Revelation Red Pill. I don't know what we're going to discuss, but if you enjoyed last week's Gog and Magog, I have good news for you. So, Gary DeMar, who we love and we have had on our show a couple of times, and he is so phenomenal. He is friends with Robert Cruikshank, and I don't know if I might be butchering his name, but he has done episodes on Gog and Magog. And he was like, oh my gosh, these are so amazing. Here's the things that I've done. And I said, hey, let's get you on the show. So he reached out and he's like, I'd love to get on the show. How about we shoot for sometime in June and let me get Gary on. And so sometime in June, we're going to have Robert on and Gary on, and we're going to go deeper into the Gog and Magog thing from Ezekiel 38, which I think is going to be really exciting. So I think that's it. Steeler says, good night, chicks. God bless. Amen. You guys are so awesome. Thank you for that. And we will be here anytime we can be. And please know that we are praying for you guys as much as you are praying for us. I know that a lot of you guys are going through stuff. Please know that if we are made aware of it, we're praying for you. And even those of you that we don't know, we do a lot of blanket prayers too. So you're not alone. All right, you guys, we'll see you next time right here from resistancechicks.com. Be encouraged. We are winning. We are not tired of winning because we are on the side of the ultimate winner, which is Jesus Christ.